Chapter 2559. Captain. Is this okay? I'm afraid. Xianjizi took the jade tablet with an ugly expression. He was afraid that he couldn't bear the name Night Moon. Don't worry. Few people in Tianyan school know me. If you say you're Night Moon, they won't kill you. When you're strong enough, you can climb the sky cloud ladder. Night Sorrow comforted him. I'll interrogate Xiao Yuyang and understand the sex situation. Then I'll go visit my other friends. Before I leave, I'll set up a defensive array and let you control it. As soon as he arrived at the courtyard, some senior disciples rushed over. Night Sorrow knew that the other weaker disciples would also encounter the same thing, so he prepared to help. As for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, they were the proud sons and daughters of heaven. The major forces would try to rope them in, so they definitely wouldn't target them. He wasn't worried at all. Senior brother Xiao Yuyang, tell me what you know. Night Sorrow released Xiao Yuyang again. You're shameless. Xiao Yuyang, who was released again, looked like he wanted to eat someone. But facing Night Sorrow, he didn't have the same imposing manner as before. How can I not be shameless? Hand over the sex points and hand over the beauties with both hands? Night Sorrow retorted. If you didn't like to bully new disciples, how could you encounter such a predicament? You're obviously very strong. Why did you pretend to be an ordinary disciple? Xiao Yuyang angrily rebuked. He felt that Night Sorrow's divine domain was even stronger than some monarch godseed disciples. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. I'm the one asking you, not the other way around. Tell me the general situation of the sect. Otherwise, you'll be imprisoned in the courtyard forever and be laughed at by the entire outer sect. Night Sorrow, who had been very calm, suddenly spoke with a heavy tone. Xiao Yuyang originally wanted to say something ruthless, but after thinking for a moment he said, I'll tell you everything and then you'll let me go. I won't tell anyone about what happened today. You don't have the right to negotiate, but I will reduce your sentence appropriately. Night Sorrow knew that Xiao Yuyang was just a nobody in the entire Tianyan school, so the things he knew were limited. All right. I'll tell you everything I know. When Night Sorrow released a little bit of his divine domain, Xiao Yuyang would be suppressed to the point that he couldn't bear it. He didn't use the people behind him as a threat, and slowly explained the situation of Tianyan school. It turned out that the status of outer disciples in Tianyan school was quite low. They were not regarded as members of Tianyan school by inner disciples and above. As for inner court disciples, core disciples, and seed disciples, they were actually collectively called inner court disciples. Core disciples were the ones with the best talent among the inner disciples, and were heavily nurtured by the sect. They might not be particularly strong, but their future was promising. As for seed disciples, they were disciples above the Divine Lord level. They weren't far from the Divine King, and had already seen the dawn of becoming a Divine King. They were also called Divine King seeds. Some of the inner court alliances were controlled by these Divine King seeds. These Divine Lords were basically all core disciples who had cultivated to where they were now. Since ancient times, there had only been one exception. He wasn't a core disciple, but he became a Divine King seed, and eventually became a Divine King. What's the name of the person who became a Divine King? Do you know? Night Sorrow asked curiously after hearing Xiao Yuyang talk about this legendary person. Back then he used the name Zhenyi. I heard that it wasn't his full name. No one knows what his real name is. It's said that he ascended from the lower world. This cultivator called Zhenyi was a legendary person in Tianyan school. Xiao Yuyang admired him a lot when he talked about him. He ascended from the lower world, and he wasn't a core disciple. He's very similar to me, Night Sorrow murmured with a smile. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xiao Yuyang looked at him as if he were an idiot. If you go out and say this, you'll probably be beaten to death. What? Is this name so legendary? Night Sorrow asked noncommittally. He was very interested in and admired this legendary person, but he wasn't afraid of him. He's the last person to become a Divine King in Tianyan school. Now all the Divine King seeds in the sect look up to him as a role model. If you say that you're very similar to their role model, won't you be beaten to death? Xiao Yuyang said speechlessly. All right, I know all this. I still have things to do. Go back and cultivate without any distracting thoughts. After understanding what Xiao Yuyang knew, Night Sorrow locked him back in the trapping array. You're not particular. You got so much information, but you didn't let me out. After being locked in the trapping array again, Xiao Yuyang's mood collapsed. At that moment, Night Sorrow replied, "It's a good thing that I let you cultivate without any distracting thoughts. If you're still the same as before, you'll be killed sooner or later." "All right. I'll cultivate properly." Xiao Yuyang understood the meaning behind his words. He knew that he couldn't get out, so he didn't waste any more words. He was tired of being a hired thug for the people above him. "Old brother, I'm going to visit the other 2 disciples who entered the sect with me. You cultivate according to the ancient records for outer sect disciples." Before leaving, Night Sorrow gave Xianjizi some instructions and left behind a spirit crystal. "All right, I, Xianjizi, definitely won't lose to the name of Night Moon." Xianjizi swore as he clutched his identity jade tablet. "Don't put too much pressure on yourself." Before leaving, Night Sorrow comforted Xianjizi and told him not to worry too much. He changed into an outer sect disciple's uniform and went to look for the other 2 cultivators who entered the sect with him. Since they entered the sect together, they shouldn't be far from each other. "Kid, wait a moment." Night Sorrow had just left the courtyard when a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan. "Elder Lu, why are you here?" Seeing Lu Qingyuan, Night Sorrow was a little surprised. "Of course I'm here to find you. With your talent, staying in the outer sect is obviously a waste of time. I'm going to arrange something else for you." Lu Qingyuan looked at Night Sorrow with a terrifying expression. "Elder Lu, if you have something to say, just say it." Night Sorrow was a little scared by the other party's gaze. "Haha. What are you afraid of? Do you think this elder will eat you?" Seeing Night Sorrow's reaction, Lu Qingyuan laughed and said, "The specific arrangements will depend on your true strength. How about this? You come with me and climb the stairway to heaven again." Vice sect leader Yuan Tianji had told him to let Night Sorrow develop on his own, but Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. "Why must I climb the stairway to heaven?" Night Sorrow wondered. "This elder wants to see your true potential," Lu Qingyuan said with a serious expression. Chapter 2560. Just this request. Disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan was a little startled by Night Sorrow's words. This request was a little too simple. "Yes, just this one request. As long as Elder can help me clear up my doubts, Night Sorrow will definitely do his best to climb the sky cloud ladder. However, there have been some problems with my power of merit recently, which may have affected the results of the sky cloud ladder." Night Sorrow did not hide the fact that his power of merit was abnormal. "What's going on with your power of merit?" Lu Qingyuan, who originally wanted Night Sorrow to ask questions, immediately asked about his power of merit. "I've been using it too frequently recently and suffered a backlash. I reckon I need to obtain some merit before I can use it again." Night Sorrow explained and said directly, "Also, my question is how to obtain the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir." "What do you want that elixir for?" This question made Lu Qingyuan frown. "Of course it's to save someone," Night Sorrow said matter-of-factly. "If you need other elixirs, I can immediately help you find them. However, I can't do anything about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir." At the mention of the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir, Lu Qingyuan's face suddenly became gloomy. "Elder, you mean you know about the Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir?" When Night Sorrow heard this, he immediately took out a jar of always wine from his spatial artifact and handed it to Lu Qingyuan. "It's useless even if you give me wine. You can't get this elixir. No one in the Tianyan school can get it." Lu Qingyuan, who took the wine, gulped it down gloomily. "Elder Lu, tell me what you know." Night Sorrow will naturally go back to investigate. "What do you mean by evading the topic?" Lu Qingyuan obviously knew some inside information, but he did not say anything. Night Sorrow was a little anxious. The Heavenly Phoenix's omnipotent elixir was related to whether or not the god Jin Yuan could recover. He was still very concerned about it. Not to mention the god Jin Yuan himself. All the things Long Tianqing had done for him made him very grateful. This favor had to be repaid. "It's no use telling you." Only Lord Sect Master knows how to refine the Heavenly Luan Myriad Transformations pill, but Lord Sect Master has been missing for a long time. Lu Qingyuan finished the wine in the jar and sighed. Sigh. It is precisely because of the disappearance of the headmaster that our Tianyuan school has been declining day by day. Lord Sect Master is missing? Where did he go? Night Sorrow quickly asked. Let's go. We'll talk as we walk. Lu Qingyuan summoned his mount. It was a saber leopard with a pair of wings. The winged saber leopard was dozens of feet long. Okay. Night Sorrow replied and flew onto the saber leopard's back. With Lu Qingyuan's permission, the Divine Lord Level Blade Leopard did not resist. Our sect master's soul lamp is still lit, but we can't divine his location at all. According to my and Vice Sect Master Yuan's judgment, our sect master was either imprisoned by a ruler or entered one of the 3 great forbidden grounds. On the saber leopard's back, Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. This matter was a secret of the Tianyuan school. He did not speak of it openly. So that's how it is. This is troublesome. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. What is Lord Sect Master's strength? The Divine King Realm. Like the other 6 sect masters, he is infinitely close to becoming a ruler. He is only 1 step away. He can be considered a half-step ruler, Lu Qingyuan said proudly. There were a total of 7 known rulers in the God realm. Apart from them, the 7 sect masters of the Cloud Immortal Continent were the strongest. Then I think your judgment is wrong. There is another possibility. Lord Sect Master might have found a ruler's cave to break through to the ruler realm, and is trapped inside. Or perhaps he is cultivating inside to break through to the ruler realm. Disciplinary Elder Lu Qingyuan and Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's judgment were both pessimistic. Night Sorrow's opinion was the opposite. You don't say. That is really possible. However, the number of rulers who have fallen in the God realm is limited. The opportunities have long been snatched away. Lu Qingyuan denied. Then he said, hopefully, Lord Sect Master has found an undiscovered cave and is cultivating inside. It was also a consolation for himself. Just think on the bright side. Night Sorrow consoled. Then he looked around. The entire Heaven Cloud Mountain was floating in the clouds. It was very beautiful. Tianyuan School's various divine birds were flying leisurely in the forest. Dragons and phoenixes could be seen everywhere. Sitting on the saber leopard's back, Night Sorrow saw many species that did not exist in the 9 regions world. What? You want to tame one and make it your mount? Seeing Night Sorrow looking at the various divine birds, Lu Qingyuan asked with a smile. As a disciplinary elder, helping to tame a divine bird was a trivial matter. Tianyuan School had an elder in charge of this. No, I'm just thinking about my friends when I first started cultivating. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. He was thinking about his former companion, Tianyu, as well as his younger sister, Yi Nianxiao. Ascending to the God realm had been a bumpy road, but the Night Moon Dynasty's development could be considered smooth. Many people had already broken through to the Feather God realm. He believed that the future would be even better. He was somewhat worried about his old friends in the lower realm. Don't forget your original intentions. Night Sorrow, you are a person who values relationships. I am optimistic about your future. Lu Qingyuan praised. Then he suddenly said, there is someone at the sky cloud staircase. Let's observe for a while before deciding whether or not to go down. We suspect that there is a spy in Tianyuan School. It's best if you don't expose your true identity. He was already a half-step divine king, so his divine sense could cover a greater area than Night Sorrow's. He could sense that there was someone at the sky cloud staircase. It seems that when it comes to benefits, there will be a fight. Even the powerful Tianyuan School could have a spy. This made Night Sorrow feel that there was no such thing as a pure land in the God realm. There seems to be something interesting down there. Lu Qingyuan did not respond to Night Sorrow's words. Using his divine sense, he said, the 2 beauties of Tianyuan School are fighting. Their stakes are quite interesting. The 2 beauties of Tianyuan School? Night Sorrow, who had just entered Tianyuan School, did not know who these 2 beauties were. They are seed disciples, Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang. They are both high divine lords and are ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Both of them have not changed their appearance. Half of the disputes between seed disciples are related to these two. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile. Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow, change your appearance. I will take you down. You have the power of virtue protecting your body, so they should not be able to see your true appearance. Elder Lu, aren't you a disciplinary elder? You should be very strict. Why do I feel that your eyes are shining when you see beautiful women? Night Sorrow asked. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan did not look like a disciplinary elder at all. You don't know how outstanding they are. TSK, if I can marry any one of them, my Lu family's bloodline talent will be greatly improved. Lu Qingyuan's originally white beard turned black when he was about to go down, making him look a lot younger. You are an elder, you can be considered a teacher. Don't you feel shameless for thinking about the disciples of your sect? Besides, with your cultivation level, you still want to have children. Isn't that just a fool's dream? Before meeting the two beauties of Tianyan School, Lu Qingyuan had the appearance of an expert, but now he could not hold it anymore. Chapter 2561. As the saying goes, everyone has a love for beauty. What's wrong with an elder? An elder is also a human. The life of a cultivator in the God realm is almost endless. If you don't find a confidant to share it with, how sad would that be? Disciplinary elder Lu Qingyuan, who was carefully inspecting the two beauties of Tianyan School, said with a sigh. He was originally an orphan, but his cultivation talent was not bad. He successfully entered Tianyan School and became a seed disciple. In the end, he stayed in Tianyan School as an elder. He gradually found the value of his existence, but he always had a regret in his life, and that was that no one accompanied him. His heart was always empty. It's indeed not a complete life without companionship. If there's a suitable one in the future, I'll help Elder look out. Just now, when Lu Qingyuan said that he had obtained a beauty to improve the bloodline of the Lu family, Night Sorrow thought that he was a disciple of the family. Now that he heard that he was an orphan, he felt some sympathy. Night Sorrow's greatest achievement was not becoming the first emperor of the 9 regions world, nor was it becoming a powerful feather god who could challenge a divine lord, but having a complete and happy family. It was completely understandable that Elder Lu's loneliness could be understood. No need. Now there's an opportunity. Haha. The heavens are really helping me, Lu Qingyuan. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Lu Qingyuan hurriedly waved his hand to indicate that there was no need. He transmitted his voice. The content of their bet is very interesting. They bet on the result of climbing the stairway to heaven, and the loser has to marry the first man after the bet takes effect. They made a heavenly oath. As long as I'm the first to arrive, everything will be settled. Within tens of thousands of miles, Lu Qingyuan carefully used his divine sense to investigate. There were no other cultivators at all. As long as he went down and put Night Sorrow into his spatial artifact, there would be no competition. Isn't it too childish for the two of them to bet like this? Hearing such a bet, Night Sorrow was speechless. They were both divine lords, but they were like children. Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang were both proud daughters of the Tianyan School's disciples, ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list, but they actually made such a bet. If the loser met a piece of trash, wouldn't that be a tragedy? You don't understand. Their enmity had been going on for a long time. Both of them admired the number 1 seed of the Divine King, Mu Baiyu. This time, they are probably confident in themselves and want to defeat the other party and force her to marry him. This way, their biggest competitor will be eliminated. Lu Qingyuan explained with a smile. Give up resisting and enter my spatial artifact. I don't want you to steal my good fortune. To tell you the truth, I have no interest in this kind of thing. But don't you think that you won't get true companionship like this? Night Sorrow was speechless. He asked, Is Mu Baiyu really that outstanding to make 2 heavens proud daughters like this? Excellent, very excellent. He will be the future number 1 genius disciple of our Tianyan school. He had the bearing of the Divine King. Moreover, he was so handsome that many women felt ashamed of their inferiority. When he played the zither under the moonlight, he looked like a white-robed immortal. If I were a female cultivator, I would probably be tempted by him too. Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but shake his head at the mention of Mu Baiyu. That was a person that made him feel ashamed of his inferiority. Is the person you're talking about the legend called Jinyi? Night Sorrow, who had already entered Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, couldn't help but ask while sighing at Mu Baiyu's excellence. In comparison, he was more interested in the legend that everyone was talking about, because that person was the same as him. They both ascended from the lower realm. Yes. We're here. I won't talk to you anymore. I'll let you out in a bit. When they got close, Lu Qingyuan laughed dryly. Then he put on his usual serious appearance and descended towards the sky cloud staircase. Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang. What are you two doing here? Are you going to challenge the sky cloud staircase? After landing, Lu Qingyuan stood with his hands behind his back, looking very calm. Greetings, disciplinary elder. We're here to challenge the sky cloud staircase. Elder is here? Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang immediately greeted the disciplinary elder, Lu Qingyuan, when they saw him. Respecting one's teachers was the first rule of the Tianyin school. Naturally, they wouldn't go against it. However, during the process of greeting, Xikong Qianxue laughed and transmitted her voice to Nailan Shuang. Your future husband has appeared. He's a couple of 10,000-year-old bachelors from the reincarnation cycle, and he also has a 10,000-year-old iceberg face like you. They're a perfect match. It's your husband. Nailan Shuang was just like her name. Her face was cold and gave people a feeling that she was 1,000 miles away. It was only when she was facing Mu Baiyu that she would smile. Well, I found a genius disciple and brought him to challenge the sky cloud staircase. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, casually replied. Night Sorrow, come out. Greetings, senior sisters. After speaking, Lu Qingyuan let Night Sorrow out of the spatial artifact. A genius among the outer sect disciples? Originally, Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang were interested in the genius disciple Lu Qingyuan spoke of because of his words. However, when they saw Night Sorrow, who was wearing the outer sect disciple's uniform, a trace of disappointment flashed across their faces. Ah! It's rare for an outer sect disciple to have the potential to become a core disciple, so I personally brought him here to test him. Quick, greet the two senior sisters. The two in front of you are super geniuses ranked in the top 10 of the heavenly cloud list. Lu Qingyuan, who had already thought of an excuse, explained in a low voice. Ever since he was promoted to the disciplinary elder, he had always been reserved. Junior brother greets the two senior sisters. Night Sorrow had already given Night Moon's identity token to Xianjizi. It wasn't appropriate for him to say his name, so he directly referred to himself as junior brother. Seeing Night Sorrow greet her, Nailan Shuang, who had a cold expression on her face, only responded softly. She didn't even look at him. On the other hand, Xikong Qianxue looked at Night Sorrow with a smile and said, if you want to become a core disciple in the Divine Feather Realm, you need to reach at least 13,500 Dao Force. Junior brother, you have to work hard. Thank you for the reminder, senior sister. Senior sisters, you have arrived here first. Please take the lead and climb the sky cloud staircase. Junior brother can learn from this experience. Night Sorrow returned the greeting and said. At the same time, he thought of Xikong Xiang and Mei Ruoxue. Both of their scores had exceeded 14,000 Dao Force, which meant that they had already become core disciples. Actually, climbing the sky cloud staircase doesn't have any skills. It's purely a test of strength. Since junior brother is a little nervous, senior sister will demonstrate it for you. Nailan Shuang didn't even bother with Night Sorrow. Xikong Qianxue replied with a smile and walked towards the sky cloud staircase. When she was about to climb the sky cloud staircase, she looked back at Nailan Shuang and said with a smile, don't forget our bet. I, Nailan Shuang, naturally won't go back on my word, because the loser will definitely be you. Nailan Shuang said with a cold expression. I recently encountered an opportunity, and my strength has increased a lot. Just wait for your marriage. Xikong Qianxue snorted, then walked up the sky cloud staircase and started climbing. Elder, how high can these two senior sisters reach? At this moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice curiously. Chapter 2562. The Tianyan School has a standard to measure the geniuses. Feather God Realm, 13,500. High God Realm, 27,000. Divine Monarch Realm, 54,000. Both of them are well-known figures among the Divine Monarchs. Their results are definitely above 54,000. It's not easy to judge how good they are. Let's wait and see. Hearing Night Sorrow's question, Lu Qingyuan replied and started watching. Xikong Qianxue, who had just climbed the sky cloud stairs, didn't seem to feel any resistance. She was like a swift, or like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It wasn't until she passed the 40,000th step that her speed slowed down a little. While adjusting, she climbed up step by step. Night Sorrow, who do you think is better between the two of them? If you were to choose, who would you choose? Xikong Qianxue's climbing process was a bit dull. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared to be serious, secretly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. If I were to choose, I definitely wouldn't choose either of them. I'm a man with a family. If I were to give an elder a suggestion, I think it would be Xikong Qianxue. Nalan Shuang is cold and arrogant. She gives people a very uncomfortable feeling. Night Sorrow said honestly. Each of his wives were outstanding beauties. He didn't have the slightest interest in Xikong Qianxue or Nalan Shuang. This elder is the opposite of what you are thinking. In any case, neither of them will be sincere when they're together with me. I might as well try the taste of an ice mountain beauty. In their heavenly Tao oath, they said that they would serve me in bed. Lu Qingyuan, who appeared calm and collected, transmitted his voice with a trace of vulgarity. I say, Elder Lu. In any case, you are a disciplinary elder. Can't you maintain some image? Night Sorrow, who heard the transmission, said speechlessly. Sai, do you think that I took the initiative to become a disciplinary elder? Back then, I was forced to do something beyond my ability by the sect master. However, I, Lu Qingyuan, have never made any mistakes in my position. I am worthy of the sect master's trust. Lu Qingyuan sighed. At this moment, he saw that Xikong Qianxue had already climbed to the 60,000th step. Her speed was already as slow as a snail. He asserted, she will finish climbing within 10 steps. I think she can climb at least 1 or 2,000 steps. Night Sorrow, who was looking over, could not see Xikong Qianxue's expression. But when he turned his head to the side, he saw a rare smile on Nalan Shuang's face. This proved that Nalan Shuang could easily climb this height. If Xikong Qianxue could be easily defeated by Nalan Shuang, she would definitely not gamble with her. She definitely had a trump card that she had not used yet. It's true. Lu Qingyuan's observation skills had plummeted because of the two beauties. After Night Sorrow spoke, he instantly saw Xikong Qianxue's body emitting a strange seven-colored light. After that, she continued ascending. Seems like you also have some tricks up your sleeve. Seeing that Xikong Qianxue was still climbing, Nalan Shuang's expression immediately turned cold. Xikong Qianxue, if you work harder, Nalan Shuang will be mine. Haha. Xikong Qianxue continued climbing. Lu Qingyuan proudly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. He still preferred ice beauties. Elder, you are the disciplinary elder. Pay attention to your expression. Also, I'll have to trouble you to wipe your saliva. Yi Shang reminded him speechlessly. Lu Qingyuan's appearance was practically that of a pig. Avis. The peak of my life is about to arrive. This elder was a little too complacent. Please forgive me. Hearing the reminder, Lu Qingyuan immediately recovered his serious expression and secretly transmitted his voice. Nalan Shuang, watch carefully. 62,132 steps. At this moment, Xikong Qianxue, who was on the sky cloud staircase, shouted down. I see it. Come down. Nalan Shuang replied with a complicated expression and slowly walked towards the sky cloud staircase. Xikong Qianxue, who just came down, brushed past Nalan Shuang and said with a smile, I remember that your best result was just over 60,000 steps. You definitely won't be able to reach this result. Serve Elder Lu well in the future. It's not bad that you can find a home like him. At least it's better than marrying an outside disciple. It's better for you to serve Elder Lu well. This time, I will definitely win. Nalan Shuang replied with a cold expression. She released her divine domain and started climbing the sky cloud staircase. Her rhythm was similar to Sikong Qianshue's. She quickly reached 40,000 steps before slowing down. At this moment, Sikong Qianxue returned to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow's side. She looked at Lu Qingyuan with a smile and said, "Elder Lu, I heard that you are unmarried. What do you think of Nalan? I feel that the two of you are very suitable." "Ha! Qianxue, don't make fun of this elder. This elder can be said to be devoted to the Tianyan school, until my death. How can I have time to think about these feelings?" Lu Qingyuan pretended to decline, but in his heart he said, "Nalan Shuang is not bad. You are also quite good. Either of you is fine. No matter which one of you I take down today, I, Lu Qingyuan, will be very satisfied." "Haha, elder. Look at you. You can't even close your mouth from smiling. Do you already know about our bet, and your heart is already blooming?" Lu Qingyuan couldn't control himself and was seen through by Sikong Qianxue. She laughed and joked. What bet? What bet?" Lu Qingyuan pretended. He was a half-step divine king, and was stronger than Sikong Qianxue. He was confident that his probing with his divine soul wasn't discovered. "Haha, it doesn't matter if you know or not. Anyway, if Nalan Shuang loses to me, she will have to marry you and be your wife willingly." Sikong Qianxue raised her head to look at Nalan Shuang on the sky cloud stairs and smiled proudly. "There is such a bet? Both of you are the genius disciples of our sect, and will be the pillars of the divine realm in the future. Making such a bet is too childish." Lu Qingyuan pretended to be angry and said, "If you say it as if you are unwilling." Sikong Qianxue muttered in a low voice. At this time, everyone in the Clear Sky Pagoda also started to despise Lu Qingyuan. They felt that he was simply not on the same level as the disciplinary elder. Yang Lei suddenly asked sharply, "Husband, to be honest, if you didn't meet us, who would you choose? Between the two of them, which one would you choose?" "Before meeting you, I would wait for your arrival peacefully. I wouldn't choose anyone else." Night Sorrow replied to Yang Lei's sharp question with a smile. "Haha, little 13, you really know how to talk." Hearing this answer, Aoi and the Clear Sky Pagoda immediately laughed. The others also smiled and felt that Night Sorrow's answer was very witty. At this time, Nalan Shuang had also climbed to the 60,000th step. She was like Sikong Qianxue just now and started to struggle. "Haha, Elder Lu, I have to congratulate you." Seeing that Nalan Shuang's movements were slow, Sikong Qianxue cupped her fists towards Lu Qingyuan. At this time, Lu Qingyuan had the experience of the last time. He naturally wouldn't be fooled by appearances and said firmly, "Nalan Shuang definitely still has some tricks up her sleeve." Chapter 2563. What's going on? Did she also get a fortuitous encounter? Seeing that Nalan Shuang's aura had become much stronger, Sikong Qianxue immediately became nervous. The person she liked was also Mu Baiyu. She definitely did not want to marry Lu Qingyuan. "Let's just wait and see," Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. His mentality was quite relaxed. If there was no Nalan Shuang, having Sikong Qianxue was also not bad. But soon Lu Qingyuan was dumbfounded. After Nalan Shuang climbed to the 62,132nd step, although she tried her best, she could not continue climbing. In the end, she stopped at this height. Her result was exactly the same as Sikong Qianxue's. Hehe, you two are not bad. This result should be around 5th place among the Divine King seeds. Lu Qingyuan pretended that nothing had happened and commented on their results. In fact, he wanted to cry. He transmitted his voice. "Night Sorrow, help me find out if they have a tiebreaker." "Elder, you should ask this question yourself." Both sides were tied. Lu Qingyuan was happy for a long time, but it was very likely that he was happy for nothing. Night Sorrow wanted to laugh. "Why ask? How can I have the nerve to ask such a thing?" Lu Qingyuan was speechless. Not long after, Nalan Shuang came down from the sky cloud ladder. She did not even look over and walked away with a gloomy expression. Seeing Nalan Shuang leave, Sikong Qianxue did not stop her. She said goodbye to Lu Qingyuan and Night Sorrow and also left. "What is this?" The two women left one after another. Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he sighed repeatedly. He thought that good things had come from the heavens. Who would have thought that the two proud women would actually be tied? This means that you might not have any karma with them. It's better to rely on your own ability to find a Tao companion. Yi Shang smiled and comforted him, saying, Elder, go check and see if anyone is paying attention to this place. If not, I will go all out to climb the sky cloud ladder. After witnessing the divine Feather Realm prodigy and the Tianyun School's divine king's seed climb the sky cloud ladder, he really wanted to give it a try. I've checked. There's no one around. If there is, then it must be the divine king or the juggernaut. If they want to hide, I naturally won't be able to discover them. After Lu Qingyuan finished speaking, he thought for a moment and said, Do your best to climb the sky cloud ladder. I will arrange things for you according to your potential. At this moment, he had already thought of several routes for Night Sorrow. He would make arrangements based on the strength he displayed. All right, I'll do my best this time. Night Sorrow nodded and walked towards the sky cloud staircase step by step. When he reached the bottom of the staircase, he turned around and asked, Can I borrow external forces like divine artifacts? Of course not. If you rely on a divine artifact or divine talisman, you will be directly teleported down by the sky cloud ladder. Even swallowing medicinal pills on top of it was not allowed. However, you can still use secret techniques to increase your strength, Lu Qingyuan explained. Okay. After receiving Lu Qingyuan's answer, Night Sorrow slowly stepped onto the sky cloud ladder. When he stepped onto the sky cloud ladder, a faint pressure immediately appeared. As he continued to climb, the pressure began to increase bit by bit. I wonder what kind of surprise you will bring me. As he watched Night Sorrow's figure gradually ascend, Lu Qingyuan put away his ambiguous thoughts and focused his attention on him. After Mu Baiyu, it had been a long time since a super genius joined the Tianyun school. As for Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue, although they were ranked 10th to 20th on the Feather God list, past experience had proven that these kinds of geniuses wouldn't be able to play a decisive role in the 7-sect tournament. 15,000. I've surpassed Yan Zheng, but the pressure doesn't seem to be that great. Night Sorrow, who was climbing with all his might, did indeed feel a lot of pressure when he reached the 15,000th step. This kind of pressure was extremely terrifying for normal feather gods, and would make it difficult for them to even move. However, Night Sorrow didn't seem to be affected much. As expected of a legendary figure on both lists, he's definitely much stronger than Yan Zheng. Lu Qingyuan, who was watching Night Sorrow from below, stroked his beard in a very good mood. Not long after, Lu Qingyuan's pupils began to constrict. Night Sorrow had already passed the 20,000 mark. He was heading straight for the 27,000 mark for a deity core disciple. If he can really break through the 27,000 mark, then he'll probably be able to make it into the top 30 of the deity list. If he had that kind of strength as a feather god and broke through to the deity level, then he might have a chance in the deity level competition. As he watched Night Sorrow continue to climb, Lu Qingyuan felt a sweet worry in his heart. He didn't know if he should let Night Sorrow participate in the feather god or deity level competition. 27,000. He really did reach the top. Soon, Lu Qingyuan's eyes widened. He realized that the Tianyun school had really recruited a super genius. Perhaps he would become another Zhen Yi. Even if he couldn't reach Zhen Ye's level, becoming another Mu Baiyu wouldn't be a problem at all. Mu Baiyu hadn't been this strong when he was still a feather god, but he had won 7 feather god competitions in a row. Later on, he had won 5 consecutive championships in the deity level competition. He was the final glory of the Tianyun school. It was very likely that this kind of glory would appear again. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had deep feelings for the Tianyun school, not be excited? More importantly, he was the one who had discovered this genius. 30,000. I can still go up. But it should be enough. By the time he reached the 30,000th step, Night Sorrow had already activated the 33 Skies battle secret technique. His strength had increased tenfold, but he was starting to find it difficult to continue. Furthermore, he couldn't use the 7 stars berserk together with the 33 Skies battle secret technique, so he was already at his limit. Night Sorrow let out a long sigh and muttered to himself as he continued to climb. What? He can still continue climbing after 30,000? Lu Qingyuan, who was standing below, was so shocked that he was speechless. When Zhenyi had joined the Tianyan school, he had already left the Feather God realm. Naturally, he couldn't have set a new record. The Tianyan school's Feather God realm record had been set by the sect master when he was young, reaching 28,000 steps. Mu Baiyu, the number one genius among the Divine King seeds, had reached 27,000 steps when he was at the Feather God realm. Now, not only had Knight Sorrow broken the Tianyan school's Feather God realm record, but he was still climbing. As he watched him climb with difficulty, Lu Qingyuan even felt that Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang's achievements were insignificant. 31,220 steps. In the end, Knight Sorrow stopped at this number. At this height, he truly felt as if the heavens were crushing him. He had no choice but to give up. He knew that this wasn't his limit. If he could use his power of virtue, he would definitely be able to continue climbing. Even so, this result still left Lu Qingyuan dumbfounded. When Knight Sorrow came down, his eyes were shining. He tightly grasped Knight Sorrow's hand and said, "I don't think that genius is enough to describe you. Did you know that you've already broken the sect master's Feather God realm record? And you've even surpassed it by 3,000 steps." Only 3,000? Knight Sorrow was somewhat dissatisfied when he heard this number. It wasn't that he didn't respect his seniors, but that he felt that he was very likely the strongest feather god in the history of the god realm. There should be a large gap between him and the others. You're still not satisfied with 3,000? Do you know that the sect master is a peerless expert who has the ability to break through to the ruler realm? There are currently only 7 rulers in the god realm. You're so much stronger than him. Yet you're still not satisfied? Lu Qingyuan said unhappily. Chapter 2564. Who can say for sure what the future holds? Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, "Elder, if it's possible, Knight Sorrow has a request." "What is it?" Lu Qingyuan, who was in a very bad mood, raised his hand and said, facing someone who was likely to become a ruler in the future, he was a little uncertain. Currently, he was a half-step divine king, and also the disciplinary elder of Tianyan school. His status was definitely higher than a feather god, but it would definitely be reversed in the future. "I ascended from the lower world and brought my entire family here to find a pure land for my family. I wonder if Tianyan school has such a suitable area?" Knight Sorrow spoke slowly with a hint of expectation. He had already shown the relevant talent, and he believed that the people of Tianyan school would understand. Seeing Knight Sorrow's expression, Lu Qingyuan immediately understood. As long as Tianyan school did the right thing, Knight Sorrow would definitely stay here wholeheartedly. "If the sect master was here, we would definitely be able to fulfill your request. But now that the sect master has been missing for many years, the Tianyan school situation is a little complicated." Vice sect leader Yuan was originally the next sect leader appointed by the sect leader. But now, Vice Sect Master Ho Jun's faction is constantly making small moves and seems to want to seize power. The relationship between the two factions is very delicate. Lu Qingyuan explained and then continued. "If we rashly arrange such an area for you, Vice Sect Master Ho Jun might be able to use it against us. Unless you can make a great contribution to the sect." "How much contribution do I need to get an independent mountain like the one with the Divine King's seed?" Knight Sorrow asked. He had already seen in the ancient records that Divine King seeds like Xikong Qianxue and Nailan Shuang were rewarded with mountains by the sect. This kind of mountain was an independent space that belonged to the Divine King's seed. If he could get one, the people of Night Moon Dynasty would have a place to settle down. There's an opportunity right in front of you. 2 years later was the 7-sect Grand Competition, also known as the 7-sect Martial Meeting. The most outstanding feather gods and high gods of the 7 great sects would all participate. As long as you can get first place in the feather god group, Vice Sect Master Yuan, and I will have a reason to help you. Lu Qingyuan sighed. "Sigh, ever since Mu Baiyu, our Tianyan school hasn't gotten first place in the 7-sect tournament for a long time. Is that all I need to do? Alright, I agree." Knight Sorrow nodded in agreement. He knew that the sect had its rules. It was impossible for him to shut everyone up just because of his outstanding talent. However, if he were to show solid results, then some people would have no excuse to obstruct him. How long do you need to break through to High God? At this time, Lu Qingyuan asked. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would accidentally break through in 2 years. If he became a deity, it might not be so easy for him to win first place. As long as I want to break through, I should be able to do so at any time. I was planning to break through as soon as I joined the sect. You've been stuck at the Divine Feather Realm for a long time. Your cultivation is too low. Yishang climbed onto Lu Qingyuan's steed at his signal. Don't break through. Our Tianyan school's morale is low right now. We're just waiting for you to shine in the 7-sect tournament. You have a high chance of getting first place in the Feather God realm. But if you become a high god, it might not be so safe. Lu Qingyuan persuaded. I'll take you to Vice Sect Master Yuan first. We'll discuss what to do with you for the next 2 years. Originally, Lu Qingyuan had his own ideas. However, Yishan had completely displayed his talent, so he had immediately rejected the plan he had thought of. He was afraid that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to control himself, and would suddenly become a high god. Okay. Night Sorrow replied. He casually mentioned the matter of giving his identity token to Xianjizi, and asked if there would be any negative effects. This kind of thing is very common in the Tianyan school. Many genius disciples give their identity tokens to their subordinates to manage. As for you, Vice Sect Master, and I will make a new one for you. Lu Qingyuan replied as they flew. He didn't want to expose Night Sorrow's talent before the tournament. After all, there might be spies in the Tianyan school. Okay, I'll follow Elder's arrangements. Night Sorrow didn't want to think too much about it. Not long after, he was led by Lu Qingyuan to Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji's place. Vice Sect Master, this is Night Sorrow, the person I mentioned before. Lu Qingyuan took Night Sorrow's arm and introduced him as they walked into Yuan Tianji's living room. At the same time, he reported Night Sorrow's performance on the stairway to heaven. He's really a rare genius. He's only a feather god, but his aura is not weaker than an ordinary monarch god. Yuan Tianji couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard Night Sorrow's stairway to heaven result. He then calmed down and said with a smile, Night Sorrow, welcome to the Tianyan school. I believe you and the Tianyan school will help each other. If you have any requests, you can tell me. I'll try my best to fulfill them. Night Sorrow ascended from the lower realm, and brought his entire family to find a pure land for his family. Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji took the initiative to ask. Night Sorrow repeated what he said to Lu Qingyuan. Well, let me think about it. Yuan Tianji thought for a while and asked, how many people do you have in your family? Is it more than 10 million? The population isn't that great. There aren't that many people, Yishang said. Elder Lu has already told me that you agreed to participate in the 7-sect tournament. Let's do it this way. For 2 years, let your people cultivate in my mountain. When you return from the tournament, I'll arrange a mountain with the most abundant god spiritual chi for you. Yuan Tianji arranged Night Sorrow's people and looked at him. As for you, don't cultivate in these 2 years, and don't do any sect missions. You can stay here and learn alchemy, equipment and array formations. I'm the #1 alchemist in the sect other than the sect master. I should be qualified to teach you. Vice Sect Master, do you know anything about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill? Although he asked Lu Qingyuan the same question, Night Sorrow still asked about the Heavenly 1000 transformation pill. Only the sect master knows how to refine this pill, but we don't know where he is now, Yuan Tianji explained. However, the sect master's pill recipe came from a secret realm. That secret realm will open again in 1,000 years. When that time comes, I'll arrange for you to enter. Vice Sect Master, that mystic realm needs Divine Lord Realm to be able to enter. Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan immediately reminded. It's okay. Night Sorrow has the strength of an ordinary Divine Lord in the Divine Feather Realm. 1,000 years later he might be able to compete with Elder Lu. There won't be a problem going to that secret realm. Yuan Tianji looked at Yishang and suddenly smiled. I wonder if you've ever had a master during your cultivation journey? He meant that he wanted to take him in as a disciple. I had masters in the lower realm. Night Sorrow told him about all his masters in the lower realm. After waiting for him to finish speaking, Yuan Tianji continued. In terms of cultivation, your future path may be further than mine. However, for now my understanding of divine lords and the divine king is definitely deeper than yours. I have the ability to teach you. Vice Sect Master. The matter of apprenticeship involves too much karma. Let me think about it for a few days. Yuan Tianji was very strong, and he was also the Vice Sect Master of Tianyan School. However, they didn't know each other well. Chapter 2565. Alright. Since that's the case, I'll arrange for you and your clansmen to rest. I'll order people to send over books related to alchemy, crafting, and formations. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to come here and ask. Knowing what Night Sorrow meant, Yuan Tianji didn't force him. He arranged for Night Sorrow and the Night Moon clan to stay in a bamboo forest by the lake. He gave Night Sorrow a token. He said, with this token you can walk around the sect as you please. If anyone makes things difficult for you, just inject your divine origin energy into the token. Thank you, Vice Sect Leader. Night Sorrow, who received the token, thanked him and invited, Vice Sect Leader and Elder Lu, why don't you stay for a drink before you leave? At this time, everyone from the Night Moon clan had already come out. Some of them were setting up the courtyard. Night Sorrow's wife and daughter were carefully preparing the banquet. Everyone had been in an abyss of suffering in the divine realm. Now that they finally had a relatively safe place to stay, they were all in a good mood. Alright. I haven't been in the mood to drink in a long time. Today, with you joining the Tianyan school, I'm in a good mood. I'll drink to my heart's content. I'll go invite Madam. I'll be back soon. Yuan Tianji, who received the invitation, happily agreed. As for Lu Qingyuan, after Night Sorrow introduced his wives, he didn't want to talk to Night Sorrow anymore. He lamented that the heavens were too unfair. However, after drinking, he completely forgot about his unhappiness. He felt that Jingyan, this divine lord, was very good. She was strong, talented, and extremely beautiful. However, when he paid careful attention, he noticed that Jingyan would often inadvertently glance at Night Sorrow during the banquet. Lu Qingyuan's heart was filled with sorrow. The family banquet was joyous and harmonious. After entertaining the guests and sending them off, Night Sorrow accompanied his family for a few days in peace. Half a month later, when he returned to the outer sect to visit Xianjizi, he found that there were already more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. These people were probably here to cause trouble, and were trapped by the formation. Night Sorrow didn't care about them, but when he saw Xianjizi, he immediately flew into a rage. At this moment, Xianjizi was seriously injured. He was lying on the bed on his last breath. Brother, take this pill. He walked to Night Sorrow's bedside, took out a healing pill, and gave it to Xianjizi. He asked, Brother, who hurt you? 2 days ago, I went to exchange for cultivation resources, and met an inner disciple named Nalanda. He saw that I had a lot of sect points and asked for them. If he couldn't get it, he would immediately snatch it. In the end, I wasn't strong enough and the sect points in my identity jade token were taken away. Xianjizi coughed up a mouthful of blood and began to recount the events of that day. Although the status of the outer sect disciples isn't high, they were beaten up for no reason and even had their sect spot snatched away in public. Does no one care about this matter? When Night Sorrow, Yuan Tianji, and Lu Qingyuan were drinking, they already knew that the Tianyan school had dozens of monarch god-level law enforcement elders. They were distributed in various areas of the sect, and would immediately appear if there was a fight within the sect. At that time, an elder appeared, but when he saw that the attacker was Nalanda, he only said one sentence. Don't kill anyone. Xianjizi took the Divine Soul Recovery Pill, and immediately recovered a lot. He continued, I heard from the onlookers that Nalanda has a sister who is a divine king seed. The law enforcement elders that appeared didn't dare to offend that person. Nalanda? Could his sister be called Nalan Shuang? Hearing Xianjizi mention this, Night Sorrow immediately thought of Nalan Shuang who climbed the sky cloud ladder. At that time, she had reached a height of more than 60,000 feet. She was indeed very strong. I think that's the name. Xianjizi thought for a moment and nodded. Brother, recover a bit. I'll take you back to your sex spot later. How many sect points have we been robbed? There were more than 20 cultivators trapped in the courtyard. Knight Sorrow knew that Xianjizi must have obtained a lot of sect points. Xianjizi replied, there are a total of 40,000 sect points. The one trapped outside is one of the top 10 experts in the outer sect. He alone contributed 30,000 points. More than 40,000 points. No wonder it would arouse Nalanda's greed. Knight Sorrow said in a low voice, then looked at Xianjizi and asked, Brother, can you find Nalanda's residence? This I really don't know. Xianjizi had just entered the sect, so how could he know this? I'll just go to the inner sect to see Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. They should be core disciples now. Knight Sorrow knew that the core disciples of Tianyan School had a higher status than the inner sect disciples, but they didn't have the privileges of a divine king seed. When Xianjizi had almost recovered, he took him to the inner sect to look for Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. With the vice sect master's token, he didn't encounter any obstruction. After searching for half a day, the two of them met one of Si Kongxiang's servants. This servant had seen Knight Sorrow in Si Kongxiang's spatial artifact. He recognized him and brought him to the courtyard where Si Kongxiang was. Brother Night Moon, you're here. I've encountered some trouble recently, so I didn't go to see you. Please forgive me. Si Kongxiang was very happy to see Knight Sorrow, but there was something on his face. Knight Sorrow could see that he had something on his mind and asked, Brother Sikong, what trouble have you encountered? Tell me and see if I can help you. Si Kongxiang sighed and said, It's like this. My cousin's name is Sikong Qianxue. She is the divine king seed of Tianyan School. She has a love rival called Nalan Shuang. That Nalan Shuang has a younger brother in the inner sect called Nalanda. My cousin asked me to find a way to beat him up. But he is on the divine list, and I am only an invincible feather god. I am not his opponent at all. A person on the divine list, so he is also a core disciple? Knight Sorrow originally came here to find Nalanda. Hearing Si Kongxiang talk about this matter, he immediately became interested. He was prepared to find out more about this Nalanda. He is a person on the divine list, but it seems that he is only ranked in the 80s. He reached the height of 24,000 on the heaven cloud ladder, and was not promoted to a core disciple. Si Kongxiang explained and said helplessly, although he is not a core disciple, that kind of strength is not something we can deal with. I can deal with him, but it is not suitable for me to expose my identity at the moment. Let's think of a way to beat him up. Knight Sorrow did not care about Nalanda's strength at all. However, according to Yuan Tianji and Lu Qingyuan, it was best for him to keep a low profile before the 7-sect tournament and not expose his true identity. The best choice was to secretly make a move. Brother Yi, are you kidding? You said you can deal with Nalanda? Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Si Kongxiang looked at him in disbelief. After all, he only showed the aura of the feather god realm. I am 100% confident. Knight Sorrow felt that it was not a big deal to show his strength in front of Si Kongxiang, so he immediately released a powerful divine domain. Under the suppression of his divine domain, Si Kongxiang even felt that it was difficult to breathe. Immediately his expression changed and he exclaimed, Brother Yi, your strength is so amazing. Could you be the legendary Knight Sorrow? It is me. However, it is not convenient to disclose it now. Please keep it a secret, Brother Sikong. Knight Sorrow said and continued, My friend, a few days ago, Nalanda snatched the sect's spot. I just want to deal with him. With Brother Knight Sorrow's help, it will be easy to deal with Nalanda. Si Kongxiang whispered. Actually, I have recently studied Nalanda's habits thoroughly. He has a special hobby. Every half a month, he will leave the heavenly cloud mountain and have a tryst with a widow at the foot of the mountain. We will beat him up in the temple where they have their tryst. Okay. Chapter 2566. Brother Yi, are you hiding your identity because the upper echelons of the sect wanted you to? Do they want you to make a name for yourself in the 7-sect tournament? After studying this matter, Si Kongxiang asked curiously. He and Mei Ruoxue joined the Tianyan School at this time. It was obvious that they had plans for the 7-sect tournament. The two of them had backers in the Tianyan School, so they knew more about the 7-sect tournament than Knight Sorrow. They knew that the 7 sect tournament's rewards were very generous. It's because of this consideration. Night Sorrow nodded and admitted, with Brother Ye's help, the Tianyan school will definitely shine in the Feather God group this time. However, our Tianyan school doesn't have any experts in the High God realm. The highest ranking person is only ranked 11th on the High God list. It would be embarrassing if they went. Si Kongxiang already knew some things about the Tianyan school before he joined the sect. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, no one can be sure about these things. What if a High God expert appears in the sect? Maybe. Si Kongxiang nodded and stared at Night Sorrow. Brother Yi, I want to ask you for a favor. What is it? Night Sorrow asked. I want to ask you to be my brother-in-law. You don't know, but my sister Sikong Qianxue has been bewitched by that pretty boy Mu Baiyu. I think there's something wrong with that Mu Baiyu. He seems to know some sorcery. Si Kongxiang said unhappily. I'm afraid I can't help you with this matter. Night Sorrow was speechless. He thought for a moment and asked, isn't Mu Baiyu the #1 genius in the Tianyan school? Logically speaking, he doesn't need to know sorcery to make many female disciples fall for him, right? He definitely knows sorcery. Otherwise, why would Mei Ruoxue lose her appetite after seeing him? When this matter was brought up, Si Kongxiang, who was Mei Ruoxue's childhood friend, was rather unhappy. Maybe his demeanor is indeed outstanding. Night Sorrow sighed and said, Brother Sikong, when are we leaving? He was already itching to take care of Nalanda and avenge Xianjizi. It's fine if we leave immediately. We can go to the city at the foot of the mountain to relax. I'll let my sister know and we'll leave. Wait for me here. After Si Kongxiang finished speaking, he ran to Sikong Qianxue's mountain peak. After informing her, he came back and went down the mountain with Night Sorrow. There were still a few days before Nalanda's rendezvous in the ruined temple. The two of them strolled around the city at the foot of the mountain for a few days. Night Sorrow bought some female cultivator supplies for his wife and daughter that were not available in the lower realm. Si Kongxiang carefully chose a gift for Mei Ruoxue. After purchasing the things, Si Kongxiang suggested, calculating it, it's about time. Let's go to that ruined temple in advance and wait. They always choose that place for their rendezvous. Okay, let's go, let's ambush there. I'll set up a concealment array when the time comes. Night Sorrow responded and followed behind Si Kongxiang, flying to the ruined temple he mentioned. The ruined temple was on a barren mountain. There were few people here. If Si Kongxiang hadn't specifically investigated Nalanda, he definitely wouldn't have found any clues. Walking into the ruined temple, Night Sorrow observed for a while and set up an exquisite concealment array in a corner. Did you send someone to check the identity of that widow? Night Sorrow asked while waiting for Nalanda to arrive. I only found out that she's a widow in the city. I didn't find anything else. Si Kongxiang said truthfully. His target was Nalanda, not that widow. Naturally, he wouldn't investigate in detail. Then let's wait in peace. Night Sorrow sat cross-legged on the ground, waiting for Nalanda to arrive. After waiting for about 3 days, a sound came from outside the ruined temple. Then, a beautiful woman in a light yellow gauze dress slowly walked into the ruined temple. After entering the ruined temple, she vigilantly scanned her surroundings. Then, she used the power of her divine sense to investigate her surroundings. When she didn't find anything amiss, she took out a large bed covered in white tiger skin from her spatial artifact and lay down on it to rest. Baby, I'm here. Not long after, Nalanda, who was burning with anxiety, ran in from outside. Seeing the woman on the tiger skin bed, he took off his clothes and threw himself on the bed, stripping her naked. After being intimate for a while, Nalanda wanted to take his spear and go to battle. At this time, the beautiful woman said, Wait, did you bring the thing I wanted? I brought it. This is a letter from Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun. Nalanda, who was in a hurry, took out an envelope from his spatial artifact and handed it to the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman under him took it and looked at it. Then she nodded her head in satisfaction. She said charmingly, Come. Nalanda, who had long been unable to hold back, immediately began to move. Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun's letter. Could there be a conspiracy in it? Si Kongxiang transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow in the concealment array. I heard from Deputy Sect Leader Yuan that there might be a spy in Tianyan School. Now it seems that Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun is the spy. Night Sorrow frowned and said, they use such primitive means to communicate with each other. There must be a secret that can't be revealed. Then what should we do? Kill them and read the contents of the letter? Si Kongxiang, who was already eager to try, looked at the constantly moving Nalanda and said, if not for this unexpected discovery, we could have beaten Nalanda up right now. But after discovering this matter, we need to stay put to avoid alerting the enemy. After they leave, we will report to Deputy Sect Leader Yuan. If Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun colludes with outsiders, it will be a big blow to Tianyan School. Originally, Night Sorrow just wanted to beat Nalanda up and vent his anger for Xianjizi. He didn't expect to accidentally stumble upon such a secret. He didn't want to alert the enemy, so he signaled Si Kongxiang to stay put. He took out an image stone and recorded the scene in front of him. Brother Yi, you have this kind of hobby? You like to record other people doing it. Si Kongxiang was immediately surprised when he saw Night Sorrow's actions. Record what? Words are useless. We naturally need to record evidence. Unfortunately, when they mentioned Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun, they didn't start recording. Night Sorrow explained and continued recording. After Nalanda finished and left with the beautiful woman, he and Si Kongxiang left the barren mountain. After returning to Tianyan School, Night Sorrow immediately took Si Kongxiang to see Yuan Tianji. After seeing Yuan Tianji, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang told him what they had just seen. What? Ho Jun actually asked Nalanda to deliver a letter for him to contact the people outside the sect. Give this king the image stone you recorded. Yuan Tianji took the image stone from Night Sorrow's hand and looked at it. This woman seems to be from Soaring Heaven sect. Ho Jun contacting her, I don't know what he's planning. Could it be that he wants to attack Tianyan School from the inside? Night Sorrow analyzed. No, they wouldn't dare. Chapter 2567. The 7-sect Great Tournament is likely to be an ambush, right? Their intention is to cut off Tianyan School's future talents? Night Sorrow guessed. He hadn't been in the sect for long, but he could more or less guess. If a sect's feather god grade and high god grade geniuses were all killed, the blow to their future would be fatal. Not only that, the one they want to deal with the most is probably Elder Qing Yuan. Yuan Tianji said angrily, Elder Qing Yuan is an important figure in our camp, and is this king's right-hand man. He will be leading the 7-sect Great Tournament, so Ho Jun probably wants to use this opportunity to get rid of him. If Ho Jun only wanted to compete for the position of sect master, Yuan Tianji wouldn't be so angry, but he was likely colluding with Soaring Heaven sect, which was the most shameful act. If the other side cooperates with us and sends out enough masters, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to resist. Lu Qingyuan's face was a little gloomy. If Night Sorrow hadn't found some clues, he might have died 2 years later. To put it bluntly, this time he had borrowed Night Sorrow's luck. But what about the next time? If he was targeted again and again, he would fall for it sooner or later. Since they have made a move, it must be like a lion going all out to catch a rabbit. Yuan Tianji admitted that this matter was tricky. He pondered for a while and said, but we already know about this matter. Not only do we have to solve this crisis, but we also have to give them a heavy blow. We have to record the entire process with a video crystal and publicize Ho Jun's scandalous deeds. Vice Sect Master, if we get rid of Ho Jun's forces, but the sect's vitality will be greatly damaged. Won't other sects covet it? Lu Qingyuan asked worriedly. He had deep feelings for Tianyan School, and didn't want the sect to completely decline. We will be coveted and may be attacked in a probing manner, but if they want to seize the foundation of my Tianyan School, they won't dare. Yuan Tianji responded confidently. Looking at Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang, he said, you have to have confidence in the future of the sect. At the moment of life and death, our sect will erupt with a powerful foundation. Disciple also has confidence in the future of the sect. Disciple knows what the sect's foundation is. Si Kongxiang looked at Night Sorrow and said with a smile, Now the sect not only has a foundation, but also night sorrow, so it will definitely rise. Us feather gods won't have much of an impact on this battle. If we want to rise up in the future, we have to give them a good beating. While Yi sex strength sex, Tianyin sex forces is S's sex sect. If night sorrow broke through to the high god realm, he would undoubtedly be able to compete with most of the divine monarchs. But Tianyin school was determined to win first place in the great competition, so after thinking about it, Yuan Tianji felt that he could only focus on spirit arrays and pills. He had already determined that Ho Jun and Soaring Heaven sect would act, so preparing some pills that could instantly restore divine qi or heal injuries would have a great impact on the battle. If he could take advantage of the terrain and arrange a spirit array that could affect the enemy's combat strength, it would be even more perfect. Night sorrow is right. This time, this king will make them suffer. Wait for this king here for a while. Yuan Tianji said before leaving for a while, returning with a jade token in his hand. He handed the jade token to Night Sorrow and said, "This is the Seed Disciple Identity Jade token that this king personally refined for you. Wear it and you will be a Seed Disciple from now on." But Night Sorrow has yet to make any significant contributions to the sect. Yet the Vice Sect Master directly promoted Night Sorrow to a Divine King Seed. Won't this cause you trouble? Looking at the jade token, Night Sorrow did not take it with his hand, fearing that it would cause trouble for the other party. There's no trouble. Tianyun School's Sect Master can recommend 2 people to become Divine King Seeds in his lifetime. The 2 Vice Sect Masters each have 1 opportunity. This king will use this opportunity on you, Yuan Tianji explained. Night Sorrow, quickly accept it. You are worthy of becoming the first Divine King Seed in the history of the sect. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Accept it, Night Sorrow. As long as this king is in Tianyun School will do its best to cultivate you. Yuan Tianji's face showed a trace of expectation. Alright, then I'll accept it. Night Sorrow will not let the 2 of you and the entire Tianyun School down. Since he had already decided to join the Tianyun School, Night Sorrow no longer hesitated. He took the jade token and cupped his hands. Haha, it's really different from the jade token of a core disciple. Seeing the Divine King Seed Identity Jade token in Night Sorrow's hand, Si Kongxiang said with envy. The Divine King Seed Identity Jade token was not only different from the core disciple token in terms of material and appearance, but it also represented a different meaning. If Night Sorrow wore the jade token outside, the outer and inner disciples would have to salute him when they met. Cultivate well. You have a bright future as well. Strive to reach Qianxue's level as soon as possible. The outstanding disciples of the Sikong family were all sent to Tianyun School. Yuan Tianji was very familiar with Si Kongxiang and encouraged him with a smile. Vice Sect Master. Si Kongxiang always felt that Sister Qianxue's infatuation with Mu Baiyu was a little abnormal. Do you think that Mu Baiyu cultivated some kind of evil technique? Si Kongxiang said with a look of displeasure. In the past, Sikong Qianxue was immersed in cultivation. Now, her entire heart was tied to Mu Baiyu. This made him feel very strange. Haha! A person is like a rainbow. You will only know when you meet her. When you meet a woman that you truly like, you won't say that about Qianxue. Yuan Tianji smiled and said, Mu Baiyu's excellence is enough to crush an entire generation. It's normal for Qianxue to be moved by him. Could it be that I'm only Ruoxue's childhood friend and that I don't really like her? Si Kongxiang muttered, and did not continue the conversation. At this time, Night Sorrow suddenly thought of something and said, That's right, Vice Sect Master Elder Lu. A few days ago, Soaring Heaven Sect sent a divine monarch called Qin Yangzi to recruit me. At that time, he raised a divine monarch-level demon in his divine artifact. I suspect that Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon. What? Otherworldly demon? Are you sure it's an otherworldly demon? Hearing this, a trace of shock appeared on Yuan Tianji's face. To the cultivators of the god realm, otherworldly demons were too evil and terrifying. I'm 90% sure that it's an otherworldly demon, Night Sorrow said with certainty. Whether it's the ethereal mountain range or the dark forest, they are all forbidden areas of the god realm. Even a ruler would find it difficult to come out after entering. The fact that Qing Yangzi has an otherworldly demon is enough to explain the problem. Yuan Tianji said worriedly. Otherworldly demons are evil by nature. They won't give up on destroying the God realm. If Soaring Heaven sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon, it's very likely that they don't care about the consequences of their actions against my Tianyin school. It seems that we need to make more preparations than expected. Yes, if an otherworldly demon infiltrates, the situation will be completely different. Lu Qingyuan's expression was equally serious. He suggested, should we send someone to follow Nalanda? No, he's just a pawn to deliver a message. We don't need to follow him. It's better to believe in this matter than not. Whether it's on the way there or when we return, we just need to be prepared for battle. Chapter 2568. After leaving Yuan Tianji's mountain, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang sent Xianjizi back to the outer sect. After discovering that Ho Jun might be colluding with Soaring Heaven sect, they decided not to touch Nalanda for the time being. They didn't want to alert the enemy. After that, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang visited Mei Ruoxue and several other disciples who had entered the sect at the same time. Everyone gathered together and drank. Si Kongxiang didn't reveal that Night Sorrow was already a Divine King seed. Everyone thought that he was just an ordinary outer sect disciple and got along well with him. However, it could be seen that the others were more afraid of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, two core disciples. After this day, Night Sorrow returned to the bamboo forest that Yuan Tianji had arranged for him. He stayed with his family for 3 days. He entered the Clear Heaven Pagoda and studied the spirit array inside. He studied the spirit array of Zhenyuan Divine Lord and Long Tianqing, combined with the Divine Essence Dragon Locking Array, and spent 180 years to master it. After that, he tried to integrate the power of virtue into it. This was naturally to deal with the extraterrestrial demon. Let's call it the 33 Heavens Merit Array. After thoroughly studying the spirit array, Night Sorrow gave it a name, and then went to find Lu Qingyuan, wanting him to test the effect of the spirit array. After seeing Lu Qingyuan, Night Sorrow found that his face was very ugly, so he asked, Elder Lu, what's wrong? Sigh. After you went into seclusion for a year, the elders of Heavenly Martial Pavilion brought their disciples to our Tianyin school. Their Heavenly Martial Pavilion had Yan Zhifei, ranked 3rd on the Feather God list, who injured all 5 of our sect's chosen feather gods. They were so arrogant. Lu Qingyuan clenched his fists in anger and said, they didn't stop after injuring a few feather gods. They even mocked our Tianyin school's high gods, saying that they were all idiots. They have Mengdu, who is ranked 4th on the high gods list. Our high gods are no match for them, and can only hold their anger. Are they still here? Night Sorrow asked. He wanted to avenge Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. The other party was a bully, and they even dared to bully their own sect. This was too much. He didn't leave. He said he would leave with us. Lu Qingyuan explained and then tried to persuade him. Night Sorrow, you are my sect's trump card. Don't be rash. It won't be too late to teach them a lesson after the 7-sect grand competition. Good. Just bear with it for a while longer. When do we leave? How are the arrangements for the vice sect leader? Night Sorrow asked. The trip to the 7 sects grand competition would not be a smooth one, thus he had to clarify some things. I should have left 3 months ago, but I've been waiting for you. In addition, the vice sect leader had already made all the necessary arrangements. This time, we are mobilizing a Divine King level Grand Elder, 5 half-step Divine Kings, and 20 Divine Monarchs. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yishang. This doesn't include the 10 Divine Lord level enforcement elders on the surface. They are all in my spatial artifact. So many experts. Even the Divine King has been mobilized. Night Sorrow was very surprised to hear that so many experts were mobilized at once. In addition, if there was a Divine King to fight, he was worried that his array formation level was still too low. Just in case. This is one of the trump cards of my Tianyin school, but there are even stronger ones. Lu Qingyuan said proudly. Although the Tianyin school did not have any sovereigns, the Divine King's numbers were not inferior to the other sovereigns. However, These divine king were usually cultivating in seclusion, and did not show up at all. At this moment, Night Sorrow asked, Elder Lu, are all the people in your spatial artifact reliable? I want to test an array formation. Of course. They are all the mainstays of our side. Some of them have never shown their faces. Lu Qingyuan promised. Okay. Elder Lu, come with me to test the array. Night Sorrow then invited Lu Qingyuan into the Treistrimsa virtuous array he had set up. What array is this? It's mixed with virtuous power and reincarnation power? It looks ordinary, but it can weaken my strength. Lu Qingyuan tried all kinds of methods to break the array formation, but none succeeded. He also felt that his strength had been greatly weakened. He could not help but praise the array's wonders. To be able to set up such a wondrous array formation at the Divine Wing realm, this Night Sorrow that you and the vice sect leader recommended is indeed 10 talents. The Divine King Zhuangqing, who was hidden in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, could not help but praise. Although the array formation that Night Sorrow had set up had no effect on the Divine King, it could affect a half-step Divine King. This was already very impressive. Of course, Night Sorrow is a peerless genius who has the potential to dominate the world. Elder Zhuang, just wait for him to shine. Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in the spatial artifact. There was a hint of pride in his voice. After all, he was the one who had seen through Night Sorrow's identity when he joined the Tianyan school. Otherwise, Night Sorrow might still be cultivating in a low-key manner. Haha, I will wait and see. The Divine King Zhuangqing smiled amiably. Elder Lu, give me a day. I will say goodbye to my family, and then we will go to the location of the 7-sect tournament together. At this moment, Night Sorrow spoke. In fact, he was a little embarrassed that he had delayed the trip. Okay, go ahead. Lu Qingyuan did not blame Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow went back to say goodbye to his family, and met Yuan Tianji. Then he and Lu Qingyuan met up with the prodigies participating in the tournament. The members of the Tianyan school participating in the 7-sect tournament had already been selected. The Feather God group included Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the Feather God list, Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th, Yun Tingfei, who was ranked 30th, and Yan Zheng, who was not on the Feather God list but was stronger than Si Kongxiang. Although Yun Tingfei's ranking was not low, he had already been confirmed as Night Sorrow's substitute. The other 4, including Night Sorrow and the Tianyan school, were quite strong. The God group included Mu Qingyu, who was ranked 11th on the Feather God list, Liang He, who was ranked 21st, Yan Fangfei, who was ranked 29th, Zhou Qian, who was ranked 51st, and Nalanda, who was ranked 84th. The God group's ranking did not seem that shameful, but the 5 of them had participated in the last tournament, and were ranked last. In addition to these participants, the Tianyan school sent out a total of 10 law enforcement elders to protect them. The law enforcement elder, Lu Qingyuan, was responsible for leading the team. After everyone had gathered, many people paid attention to Night Sorrow. They did not know what identity he had used to sneak in. After everyone boarded the heavenly cloud shuttle of the Tianyan school, Nalanda was instructed by Mu Qingyu. He pointed at Night Sorrow and asked Lu Qingyuan, Elder Lu, who is that guy? Why is he going to the 7-sect tournament with us? Oh, he is the nephew of Deputy Suzerain Yuan. He is my substitute for Tianyan school. His main purpose is to come out and see the world. Lu Qingyuan was very unhappy with Nalanda, but he still held back and made up an identity for Night Sorrow. I see, so he is a backdoor entrant. Chapter 2569. Looking at Nalanda's appearance, Yishan really wanted to beat him up. However, under Lu Qingyuan's voice transmission, he restrained himself. Hearing that Night Sorrow had gotten in because of his connections, other than Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, the rest of the contestants looked at him with disdain. Nalanda, in particular, walked over to Yishang and mocked him a few times. Is everyone ready? If you are, we will set off for Tianxian school. Lu Qingyuan knew that Night Sorrow would shine on the day of the grand competition, so he didn't care about these trivial matters. We are ready. The 10 Divine Lord Law Enforcement Elders and the 10 geniuses participating in the grand competition immediately responded. Only Yishang stood on the heavenly cloud shuttle that was gradually rising into the air and looked at the mountain where his family was. Come back, it's time to go. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yishan. Then he looked at the crowd and said, "This trip will take some time. Everyone can return to their rooms to adjust. People die in every grand competition of the 7 sects. I hope that all of us can come back this time. We will fight with all our strength and defend the glory of Tianyin School." The few people who had participated in the last grand competition immediately roared out. Last time, the Feather God group and the Deity group had both come in last place. They were all angry. Although the Deity group didn't change much this time, the Feather God group had a few new members. This gave some people hope. Ha ha ha. Even if you trash fight with all your strength, you will only be last place. I think you have forgotten the pain from a few days ago. At that moment, a burst of arrogant laughter drifted over from afar. Then the contestants from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, led by Yan Jifei, who was ranked 3rd on the Feather God list, flew to Tianyin School's Skycloud shuttle. As for the Deity group, they didn't even come. "Yan Jifei, you are too arrogant." Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the God of Feathers list, shouted angrily. "Loser, I'm not here for you. I want to challenge Nalanda, who is ranked 84th on the Divine list." It was said that there was a Feather God called Night Sorrow who defeated an expert on the Divine list and became a master on both lists. Today, Yan Jifei, will have a taste of what it's like to be on 2 lists. Yan Jifei stared at Nalanda with contempt on his face. I still need to prepare for the 7 sects tournament. I won't accept your challenge." In the face of Yan Jifei's challenge, Nalanda immediately cowered. His tone was obviously timid. "Hee, if you don't accept the challenge, what does that count as? Is this considered admitting defeat and giving me the 84th position on the High God list?" Nalanda's cowardice made Yan Jifei's face even more proud. He laughed arrogantly and said, "Haha, you Tianyin School students." Sure enough, after Mubayu, it completely collapsed. "It's all mud that can't be supported. Yan Jifei, pay attention to your words. This is my Tianyin School's place. You, a Feather God, can't be presumptuous." Yan Jifei didn't put the people present in his eyes. Lu Qingyuan immediately rebuked him. "Elder Lu, am I wrong? Look at your Tianyin School. What kind of trash are you? You're not strong enough. Don't tell me you won't let people talk about it." Yan Jifei's face had a provocative smile. He knew that Lu Qingyuan, a monarch god, wouldn't make a move against him. "You presumptuous." Lu Qingyuan's anger had completely exploded, but he still endured. People with strength naturally have the capital to be presumptuous. "Elder Lu, you don't want Nalanda to fight. Are you afraid that he will be injured and can't participate in the tournament? I will be merciful, so you don't have to stop me." Yan Jifei chattered on. "Qingyuan, let Night Sorrow cripple him. My Tianyin School's face is not something that anyone can slap. My Tianyin School's face in the 7-sect tournament must be fought for. We can't lose our face at this moment." At this moment, the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, angrily transmitted his voice. When the old man heard a junior continuously humiliating the Tianyin School, he was so angry that his fingers were trembling. Yes, Zhuangqing. Lu Qingyuan didn't have the courage to let Night Sorrow fight directly, because he was afraid of exposing his target. But at this moment, with Zhuangqing's words, he immediately became spirited. He looked at Yan Jifei with disdain and said, "I'm afraid that you will be injured and can't participate in the tournament. Your Heavenly Martial Pavilion will fight with me." "Ha ha. Did I hear wrongly?" Hearing this, Yan Jifei laughed arrogantly. Even the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, Meng Yi, flew to the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle and said with a smile, "When cultivators compete, injuries and even death is karma. If Jifei is killed or injured by Nalanda, my Heavenly Martial Pavilion won't care. Let the Divine King bully the Feather God? My Tianyin School won't do such a shameful thing." In the face of the other party's provocation, Lu Qingyuan raised his eyebrows and said, "If you want to compete, then both sides will send out the Feather God." "Oh, Feather God? Haven't your Tianyun school's feather god been taught a lesson? Mengyi glanced at the Tianyun school's feather god and asked disdainfully. My Tianyun school's cultivators may not be the most talented in the 7 sects, but in terms of tenacity, they are definitely the best. If you want to compete, we will accompany you. Lu Qingyuan replied firmly and continued. Since it's a competition, why don't we add some stakes? Oh, what do you want to use as a stake? Mengyi asked with a smile. He was sure that he would win, otherwise, he wouldn't be so provocative. If I lose, I will give you the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. What do you think? This Heavenly Cloud Shuttle is the highest grade in my Tianyun school. It's a king-grade artifact. Lu Qingyuan was also sure that he would win, so he said the stakes of the king-grade artifact. Oh, this king-grade Heavenly Cloud Shuttle is the face of your Tianyun school. Are you willing to bet on it? Mengyi said with a look of disbelief when he heard Lu Qingyuan's words. He couldn't believe his ears. Since it's a competition, let's make it big. What's the point of a small fight? Lu Qingyuan was ready to let Knight Sorrow make a move. His aura had completely exploded. Okay, this elder will accept your wager. Mengyi smiled and said, if I lose to you, I will give my king-grade artifact Heavenly Martial Soul Spear to you, Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Good. Then it's a deal. Lu Qingyuan smiled. He had a card up his sleeve. At this time Yin Jifei coughed and said, 2 elders, you are betting so big. Even if you give it to me, I don't dare to accept it. I also want to bet something else. Can I? What do you want to bet? My Tianyun school will accept it. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. I want to bet on her. If I win, she will give me Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Yen Jifei pointed at Mei Ruoxue with an evil smile on his face. Okay. Let's bet. But to be fair, if you lose. Elder Yen Fengling. How about you become my concubine? Lu Qingyuan pointed at a female cultivator in the distance. This female cultivator was an elder of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. She was ranked 3rd in the Heavenly Feather group and 4th in the Deity group. She was a very famous beauty in the 7 sections. Moreover, she was Yen Jifei's aunt. Lu Qingyuan's nephew was so shameless. As his aunt, she did not know how to educate him. She deserved to be implicated. Lu Qingyuan, what did you say? Hearing that Lu Qingyuan wanted to use his aunt as a stake, Yin Jifei immediately became angry. He did not even call him Elder Lu. What? Only your Heavenly Martial Pavilion can have ideas about my Tianyun school's female disciple? Yin Jifei, if you provoke me again, I don't mind killing you. Being called by his full name by a feather god, Lu Qingyuan's temper was not good. Chapter 2570. All right. Auntie, I'll definitely help you vent your anger. Yen Jifei's eyebrows showed a strong desire to fight after he got the approval of his aunt, Yen Fengling. He provoked. Which one of you isn't afraid of death? How dare you fight me? Yen Jifei's aura was so strong that Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th in the Tianyun school, immediately transmitted his voice to Lu Qingyuan. He said in surprise, Elder Lu, I'm not Yin Jifei's opponent. Why did you make such a bet? Isn't this the same as giving away an emperor-grade divine artifact? I don't need you. Lu Qingyuan glanced at Ho Qingshan and cursed him inwardly. He comforted Mei Ruoxue, who was transmitting her voice to him. Ruoxue, do you think Elder is a lunatic? Trust me, we'll definitely win. Even if the ruler returns to the divine feather realm, he won't be our match. When Mei Ruoxue heard that she was the wager and that Lu Qingyuan had agreed to the wager, she immediately rejected it. Elder, you're not being controlled by the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, are you? Lu Qingyuan's explanation made Mei Ruoxue feel that he was really crazy. Ruoxue, you can't screw up. We have the Divine Feather Stairway to Heaven result, which is 31,220 steps. This is an unprecedented result. When Mu Baiyu was in the Divine Feather Realm, the highest record was 27,000 steps. Lu Qingyuan continued to transmit his voice. Mei Ruoxue felt that this was a fantasy. She immediately doubted. Impossible. It's impossible to be more outstanding than senior brother Baiyu. Mu Baiyu was like a god in her heart, a man who walked out of a legend. She didn't believe that there was someone more outstanding than him. Sigh. I don't think I can persuade you. Wait, I'll let Si Kongxiang talk to you. Seeing that Yan Fengling was about to win, how could Lu Qingyuan let Mei Ruoxue ruin the good thing? He immediately transmitted a message to Si Kongxiang. Persuade Ruoxue and get her to agree to the bet. Night Sorrow is certain to win. At that time, his result of climbing the stairway to heaven was 31,220 steps. He's even stronger than Mu Baiyu at the same time. It's impossible for him to lose to Yan Jifei. Good. I will explain it to Ruoxue with my life. Si Kongxiang knew about Night Sorrow. When he heard Lu Qingyuan's words, he immediately felt more confident. He hurriedly tried to persuade Mei Ruoxue, but Mei Ruoxue still refused. What should we do? Are we going to let Yan Fengling fly away just like that? If Mei Ruoxue did not agree, then he could only use the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle as a wager for the Emperor-grade divine artifact, the Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had been lonely for countless years, be willing to accept this? He transmitted a message to Night Sorrow. Mei Ruoxue doesn't agree to be the wager. How can I persuade her? Elder Lu, don't worry. Night Sorrow will definitely help you win the concubine today. Night Sorrow, who was standing at the side, slowly walked to Mei Ruoxue's side. He gave her an image crystal and transmitted a message. This was recorded when I was climbing the stairway to heaven. You can take a look at my result. Your result is around 10,000 steps. I remember it clearly. Now that Night Sorrow came to persuade her, and he, an outer disciple, seemed to have an invincible aura, Mei Ruoxue was even angrier. She felt that Lu Qingyuan, Si Kongxiang, and Night Moon were all crazy today. Take a look carefully, and then consider whether you want to agree or not. Also, although this is a wager that you can't lose, we won't let you be the wager for nothing. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her calmly. Night Moon, what's wrong with you today? Normally, you're not someone who likes to pester endlessly. Night Sorrow spoke with the demeanor of a big shot, as if he was treating himself as an important person in Tianyan school. Coupled with the outer disciple uniform he was wearing, he looked a little funny. This is my identity jade token. Take a look before you speak. Night Sorrow wrapped the jade token with his god essence energy, and handed it to Mei Ruoxue for her to take a look before making a decision. What? This is the Divine King's Seed Identity Jade Token. How did you get it? Mei Ruoxue, who was extremely impatient after being persuaded, was shocked when she saw the Divine King's Seed Identity Jade Token. Her family had elders in Tianyan school. Naturally, she knew that the Divine King's Seed Identity Jade Token couldn't be faked. Now that Night Sorrow, a feather god, was the Divine King's seed, she felt a little dizzy. Of course it was won by talent. Go and take a look at the image crystal. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her. He knew that it was very impolite to use her as a wager. However, the people from Heavenly Martial Pavilion were too arrogant. It wasn't enough that Heavenly Martial Pavilion injured all their feather gods in Tianyan school. They continued to provoke them on the road. This was definitely taking advantage of their dignity and continuously picking on honest people. As a member of Tianyan school, he had to earn back his dignity. At this time, Yan Jifei, who was challenging them, saw that no one from Tianyan school was responding. He immediately provoked them even more arrogantly. Elder Lu, weren't you very arrogant just now? You even wanted to use my aunt as a wager. Why didn't anyone from Tianyan school come out and fight with me? Could it be that Elder Lu really wants to bully the weak? Nephew, take a break first. Let's discuss the countermeasures. It'll be done soon. Before Mei Ruoxue was settled, Lu Qingyuan smiled and replied to Yan Jifei. Lu Qingyuan, I think you're tired of living. Do you really think that I, Yan Fengling, won't dare to attack you in Tianyan school? Hearing Lu Qingyuan call Yan Jifei nephew, Yan Fengling immediately rebuked him. When she was the #1 person in Heavenly Martial Pavilion, and ranked 3rd in the Feather God group, Lu Qingyuan didn't even enter the top 10. He only ranked 14th. There was a certain gap in talent and strength between them. We'll be a family in the future. There's no need to fight. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Yan Fangling was the goddess of their generation. How could he, who had been lonely for tens of thousands of years, be calm when he finally had the chance to get close to her? Who's your family? You're courting death. Yan Fangling's face was completely lost after being teased. She immediately prepared to attack. At this time, Mei Ruoxue suddenly stepped forward and said, Elder Yan, don't be angry. Since you and Ruoxue are both wagers, let's stand aside and watch the battle. It's Ruoxue's honor to be a wager with you. Night Sorrow's Jade Identity Tablet and the Stairway to Heaven result had already brought her endless shock. At this moment, she wouldn't be afraid even if she had to bet 10,000 times. Even when she opened her mouth to speak, she felt her body tremble. The Stairway to Heaven result of the Divine Feather Realm exceeded 30,000, surpassing the Sect Master and Mu Baiyu. It made her feel like she was in a dream. Oh, it seems that you've already discussed it. In that case, Yan Fangling will wait and see. Let's see what kind of capital Tianyan school has to dare to have any ideas about me. Yan Fangling had just seen the Tianyan school's group doing Mei Ruoxue's work. Chapter 2571. Let's talk about who we'll send out later. At this time, Lu Qingyuan saw that the matter had been decided and immediately said, Since the battle has been decided, let's make an oath to the heavens so that no one will go back on their word. Good. Our Heavenly Martial Pavilion is not afraid. The people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had been provoking the Tianyan school. Now that the Tianyan school had agreed to the battle, they were very happy to make an oath to the heavens. I, the disciplinary elder of the Tianyan school, Lu Qingyuan swear. I, the core disciple of the Tianyan school, Mei Ruoxue swear. The Tianyan school was clear about Night Sorrow's strength, so the two of them did not make an oath to the heavens. At this time, Yin Jifei put on a fake smile and said, Where are the people who will participate in the battle? Could it be that Ruoxue will fight personally? If you were the one on stage, I might really lose to your pomegranate skirt. Don't call me Ruoxue. I'm not familiar with you. You're so arrogant. Just wait for your face to be slapped. Mei Ruoxue was teased by Yin Jifei, and her eyebrows were immediately covered with frost. Okay, I'll wait for my face to be slapped. But where is the person who slaps my face? You Tianyan school delayed for so long. Is it just to show off? Don't forget that both sides have already made an oath to the heavens. It's impossible to go back on your word. Yin Jifei, who had completely unleashed his divine domain, sneered and continued to roar. Don't shout, your opponent is me. At this time, Night Sorrow slowly walked in front of Yin Jifei and calmly replied. You, the outer disciple of the Tianyan school? Haha, this is the biggest joke in the world. Don't tell me you think you're some peerless master, and you're wearing the outer disciple's uniform to hide your identity. Night Sorrow's aura did not leak out, so Yin Jifei could not feel how strong he was. He immediately hooted. If you think so, I won't open my mouth to deny it. Yin Jifei had danced for so long that even Yishang's heart was filled with anger. He coldly replied, That's right. You really think you're some big shot. Now let me see just how strong you are. You will soon understand that the third-ranked expert on the God of Feathers list is not to be trifled with. Yin Jifei roared as his god domain burst out completely. He was ranked third on the Feather God list, second only to Wuyo of the Tianqing Gate, and Shang Suyen of the Tianxian Gate. He was indeed very strong. But at this time, Night Sorrow smiled and asked, Since the third position can't be challenged, then what about the first and second positions? Scoundrel! You are courting death. Heavenly Martial Demon Fist. Yin Jifei, as the 1,000-year-old third, had always been suppressed by the first two. Being ridiculed like this, he immediately flew into a rage. Up until the moment he made his move, the arrogant him did not even ask for Night Sorrow's name. The people on the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle made space for them before Yin Jifei could make a move. In addition, the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle was made of king-grade materials. With the power of the Feather God, it would not be damaged at all. Lu Qingyuan did not say anything to stop him. Be careful. This Heavenly Martial Demon Fist is one of Yin Jifei's killing moves. It is very powerful. It's obvious that he's really angry. Ho Qingshan, who had fought with Yin Jifei before, was very surprised that there was an outer disciple in the Tianjing sect. But because they were from the same sect, he still reminded him. A few days ago he had been seriously injured by this move. Even now he still had lingering fears. No matter. You are just a chicken and a dog. Hearing Ho Qingshan's reminder, Knight Sorrow responded and released his powerful god domain. Facing Yan Jifei's powerful move, he chose to use his fist to respond. He did not use any of his moves at all. Your god domain is very strong. No wonder you have the confidence to fight with me. But if you don't use your moves, you are definitely courting death. Seeing that Knight Sorrow did not even use his moves, Yan Jifei sneered in his heart. But soon, Yan Jifei's smile completely froze. Because after the two exchanged moves, he was directly thrown out of the heavenly cloud shuttle. What? How is this possible? When did the realm of the gods have such a powerful feather god? Yan Jifei, who had been brimming with confidence, was sent flying thousands of miles away. Yan Jifei was stunned. Jifei, don't be distracted. We can't afford to lose this bet. Yan Jifei was a little absent-minded. His aunt, Yan Fengling, immediately reminded him. Si Kongxiang, who had been suppressing himself, shouted. Good fight. What's going on? When did our Tianyan school have such a fierce character? The other disciples of the Tianyan clan were all dumbfounded. The strength that Yishang had displayed had already exceeded their understanding. Against Yan Jifei, who was ranked third on the feather god list, he could easily send him flying. This was something they did not even dare to dream of. He is indeed very strong. Mei Ruoxue, who had been persuaded by all kinds of people to agree to the bet, had a complicated look in her eyes. Everyone present, including her, was undoubtedly a heaven's pride. But at this moment, the halo around them was undoubtedly shattered by Knight Sorrow's punch. Can't believe the fact in front of you. Or can't believe that someone from the Tianyan school can suppress you. Facing the obviously absent-minded Yan Jifei, Knight Sorrow said coldly, when you humiliate others, you should be prepared to be humiliated. Use all your trump cards, or you won't have a chance. I will kill you. Being sent flying in front of everyone, Yan Jifei's face was burning. He felt that all the words he had said before the bet were all slaps to his own face. As he roared, he took out his divine weapon, the Starlight Sword, and used the Sword Realm to suppress Knight Sorrow. Then he merged with the sword and shot forward. This was his strongest move, and he would suffer a strong backlash if he used it. He had prepared it for Wuyo and Shang Suyan. He did not expect that he would be forced to use it before the Seven Sects tournament. This attack is very strong, but it's not enough for me to use my divine weapon. Facing Yan Jifei's strongest attack, Knight Sorrow used the 33 Heavens battle secret technique, increasing his strength tenfold. Facing Yan Jifei, he threw out another punch. He still did not use his secret technique. This time, the people from the Tianyan school did not say anything. They knew that Knight Sorrow must be aware of it. As for Yan Jifei, he did not underestimate him. Boom. In an instant, the two collided. The void above the heavenly cloud shuttle was shattered by the collision of the two. Not long after, Yan Jifei's figure appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, his Taoist robe was torn, and his body was covered with injuries. He looked very miserable as he flew in the void. What happened? Where is Knight Sorrow? Seeing that it was Yan Jifei who appeared in front of everyone, Lu Qingyuan asked with a face full of astonishment. In his opinion, Knight Sorrow's strength was much higher than Yan Jifei's. It was impossible for him to lose. Ah, Knight Sorrow? He is not my opponent, so he naturally died in the void. Yan Jifei's whole body was injured, but his face was filled with madness as he roared arrogantly. Yan Jifei, you used the invincible monarch god talisman to plot against me. This time, you are courting death. Chapter 2572. When the two of them were fighting, Yan Jifei had used the momentum of their attacks to activate the invincible Divine Lord level talisman. If Yishang hadn't used the Divine Origin Dragon Locking Formation to seal the Divine Talisman, greatly reducing its power, as well as the power of Virtue and the Azure Phoenix armor, he might have been killed by this attack. After all, An invincible divine lord level talisman was too terrifying for a feather god. What? That didn't kill you? Yin Jifei was shocked to see Night Sorrow appear. If it had been any other feather god, they would have been instantly killed by the invincible divine lord level talisman if they had not been prepared. He had never thought that Yi Shang would survive. I won't die. You're the one who should die. At this moment, Night Sorrow's battle intent rose. He took out the Samsara halberd and used the Samsara strike. He had only wanted to defeat Yin Jifei, but now he wanted to kill him. Stop. We admit defeat. Night Sorrow's Samsara strike was so powerful that even an ordinary divine lord would find it hard to block it. Yin Jifei's aunt, Yin Fangling, immediately shouted, "Bastard! You still dare to attack after admitting defeat? Do you think the Heavenly Martial Pavilion has no one? Die, you brat!" After Yin Fangling shouted, Night Sorrow didn't stop. Meng Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, immediately attacked Night Sorrow. Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. Night Sorrow immediately used the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array to slow down the power of the half-step Divine King's attack. However, Meng Yi's attack was so powerful that he didn't slow it down much. Meng Yi, you're courting death. The Heavenly Martial Pavilion is so shameless. Seeing Meng Yi bullying the weak, Lu Qingyuan took out the Monarch-class divine artifact Flowing Cloud Ruler that God King Zhuangqing had lent him and slammed it out ruthlessly. A half-step godly king was actually involved in a gambling match between two feather gods. This was a shameless act. Boom. Meng Yi's strike was immediately sent flying by Lu Qingyuan's Monarch-ranked divine artifact, Flowing Cloud Ruler. At the same time, Night Sorrow unleashed his Samsara strike. However, this attack did not hit Yin Jifei's body. At the critical moment, although Yin Fangling did not attack Night Sorrow, she used her body to block Samsara's attack. She did not use divine origin energy, relying on her body to receive the attack. Her injuries were extremely severe. How dare you hurt my aunt? I'll kill you. Seeing his aunt being blown away in front of his eyes, Yin Jifei's tears fell. However, even though he was shouting and yelling, he didn't make a move because he couldn't think of a way to defeat Night Sorrow. Nephew, rather than being humiliated, I would rather die like this. In the future, you must cultivate well and surpass everyone in the Yin family. Yin Fangling was obviously courting death. She didn't want to be Lu Qingyuan's concubine. Don't think that your actions are tragic. If it weren't for your shamelessness, my Tianyun school wouldn't have fought back like this. Seeing Yin Fangling's reaction, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "You won't die from this injury. I have a lot of healing pills here. Don't even think about killing yourself. Don't forget that you swore a heavenly oath in the name of your sect and family." However, he didn't continue to attack Yin Jifei. He wanted to see what the others had to say. Elder Yin. Seeing that Yin Fangling was injured, Meng Yi, who was fighting with Lu Qingyuan, suddenly had a gloomy look on his face. He wanted to go back on his oath to the heavens and fight with the Tianyun clan. Elder Meng Yi, don't be impulsive. A heavenly oath is not a child's play. Noticing Meng Yi's expression, the seriously injured Yin Fangling immediately tried to persuade him. But how can this elder watch as you are humiliated? Yin Jifei had obviously lost, and he had lost disgracefully. He had only survived because Yin Fangling had saved him. Meng Yi felt very aggrieved. If things continued like this, Yin Fangling and his heavenly martial soul spear would lose to the Tianyun school. That would be the greatest humiliation in the history of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. Hee, so when the Heavenly Martial Pavilion bullies others, you're all arrogant. When you're defeated, it's like you've been wronged. Let me ask you, my Tianyun school's Divine Feather Realm disciple defeated Yin Jifei with his own strength. What do you feel wronged about? Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, indicating that he shouldn't attack for the time being. Then he shouted loudly, "That's right, the Heavenly Martial Pavilion is too shameless. When you bully others, why don't you look so tragic?" Si Kongxiang shouted unhappily. No matter what, the Heavenly Martial Pavilion was not in the right at all. In the end, they looked tragic. It was Yin Jifei who first proposed to use a woman as a wager. Now that you've lost, do you want to die and not admit it? Is this how the Yin family teaches you? I think you're not far from death. Mei Ruoxue, who had been called out as a wager, scolded happily. When she was called out by Yan Jifei, she felt so humiliated that she even wanted to cry. After being scolded by the Tianyan school, the people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion became silent. They used to have some small grudges with the Tianyan school. Now, when the Tianyan school was sinking, they came to slap him in the face. Now they suffered a double loss. Although they felt wronged, they couldn't refute. What should we do? Aunt, what should we do? Yan Jifei, who was supporting Yan Fengling, had tears in his eyes. This time, he had lost the battle and lost his aunt. He couldn't accept this result at all. He was in a daze and didn't dare to face reality. Jifei, don't cry. Men don't cry easily. Cultivate well in the future. We've lost, and we're bound by the heavenly oath. We can only accept our loss. Yan Jifei had lost, and Yan Fengling had to become Lu Qingyuan's concubine. As a former prodigy, it was easy to imagine how depressed she felt. However, her boldness was obviously much stronger than Yan Jifei's. Biting her lips, she walked towards the Tianyan clan. Aunt. Looking at his aunt Yan Fengling walking away, Yan Jifei couldn't help but cry. What are you crying for? When you called out my name, you weren't like this. Now, do you understand how humiliating this is? Seeing Yan Jifei crying, Mei Ruoxue's face was full of disdain as she mocked him. This is the Sky Martial Soul Battle Spear. Lu Qingyuan, keep it safe. I'll take it back one day. Yan Fengling chose to accept her loss. Although Meng Yi was very reluctant, he still handed over the Sky Martial Soul Battle Spear. Night Sorrow, the Sky Martial Soul Battle Spear is your spoils of war. Go and take it. At this time, Lu Qingyuan's face revealed a smile. He took out a pill and handed it to Yan Fengling. Take it. It's good for your injuries. Lu Qingyuan, don't think that just because I lost to you, you can do whatever you want. Yan Fengling's face was very gloomy. She didn't take the pill. Good. Then you take your time to recuperate. We'll slowly get used to our future relationship. Lu Qingyuan laughed. What are you laughing at? She's just a woman, and a spoil of war. Why are you weaker than her? Take her down and immediately consummate. Otherwise, I'll slap you to death. Chapter 2573. Grand Elder Zhuang, is this okay? I'm afraid of further intensifying the conflict between the two sects. After all, Soaring Heaven sect is still eyeing us. Hearing the Divine King Zhuang's message, Lu Qingyuan replied with some apprehension. His considerations were reasonable. Waste. My Tianyan school has too many wishy-washy wastes like you. That's why we're in such a weak position today. The Divine King Zhuang scolded in his space artifact and continued. My Tianyan school has been continuously targeted because every time we've been provoked, we haven't given enough response. This time, you must let Heavenly Martial Pavilion know how to write the word pain. Go bring Yan Fengling into the inner cabin. Don't come out until you're read. Okay. Hearing these words, Lu Qingyuan was a little embarrassed, but he still nodded and prepared to bring Yan Fengling in. The Divine King Zhuang heard that Lu Qingyuan's tone was not tough enough and scolded unhappily. This time, Night Sorrow has already stabilized the situation, but you're still wishy-washy. If you continue to be like this in the future, you don't need to be a disciplinary elder anymore. Remember, a disciplinary elder must be ruthless. You must not show mercy to anyone, especially when the sect is provoked. Even if you have to risk your life, you must return the favor. Yes, Grand Elder Zhuang. Qingyuan will remember your teachings. After being scolded, Lu Qingyuan's body suddenly trembled. He was the most easygoing disciplinary elder in the history of Tianyan school. Usually he didn't have much time to be uptight. Now that he was scolded, he felt like he had been hit in the head. His face darkened and he looked at Yan Fengling. Yan Fengling. If we lose the bet this time, you should know what awaits Mei Ruoxue. Now that you've lost, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Although bullying a woman like you isn't my, Lu Qingyuan's style. But from the standpoint of the sect, your Heavenly Martial Pavilion has gone too far in bullying my Tianyan school. Come with me. Lu Qingyuan, if you're still a man, let me go. standing on the deck of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. Yen Fengling's face was extremely ugly, and her body was slightly trembling. Now she was very regretful that she had supported Yin Jifei in this gambling fight. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. She had no way to turn back. I will let you go. However, there are some things that must be done. Hearing Yen Fengling's words, Lu Qingyuan coldly snorted and reached out to grab Yen Fengling's arm. Pulling her into his embrace, he walked into the inner cabin of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. Although Yen Fengling used to be very strong, she had taken Night Sorrow's Samsara strike head-on. She was seriously injured and had no strength to resist. Aunt! Yen Jifei, who had already returned to the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, shouted when he saw Yen Fengling being carried away. He was about to explode. If you hadn't lost, she wouldn't have to suffer such consequences. Yen Jifei, this is the cause you planted. He would personally take revenge in the future. Do you remember? The face of Meng Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, was uglier than anyone else. He coldly scolded Yen Jifei. Jifei, remember this. From now on, you must cultivate well and fiercely slap Tianyan School's face. Fight for today's anger. Yen Jifei's body was still trembling. He was not reconciled, extremely not reconciled. He had lost the bet to his aunt. This would be the shadow of his life. I think it's time for you to hand over the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. After Lu Qingyuan carried Yen Fengling into the inner cabin, Night Sorrow immediately stood at the bow of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle and asked for the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. This was the bet that they had won. There was no reason for them to not take it. I can give you the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. However, do you dare to make another bet with me? After being asked for the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, Meng Yi handed it over to Meng Du, who was ranked 4th on the divine list. Meng Du, who was holding the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, stood on the flying divine tool of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion and looked at Night Sorrow provocatively. Hee, you are ranked 4th on the divine list. Do you think you are very domineering to challenge a feather god? In the face of Meng Du's provocation, Night Sorrow replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Just tell me if you dare or not. Don't tell me you don't need it. Tell me if you have the guts or not. Meng Du held the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear in his hand and released a terrifying battle intent. He was ranked 4th on the divine list. Currently, his strength was indeed slightly stronger than Night Sorrow's. That's right. If you don't have the guts, you can reject it. Or you can ask the other great gods to come out and fight. The other disciples of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion who were standing behind Meng Du also joined in the commotion. Ever since I started cultivating, no one has dared to say that I, Night Sorrow, have no guts. Meng Du, right? Hand over my Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, and I will give you an explanation. Night Sorrow, who was standing on the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, also released a strong battle intent. Night Sorrow? So he is Night Sorrow, who is ranked on the divine list. No wonder he is so strong. When the disciples of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion heard Night Sorrow's name, they immediately started discussing among themselves. Before this, Lu Qingyuan had called out Night Sorrow's name softly, but they did not pay attention to it. As for Night Sorrow, he had come here to fight for the reputation of the Tianyan School. In the face of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion's provocation, if he did not step out, the reputation of the Tianyan School would be completely lost before the competition. Then his trip would be completely meaningless. Night Sorrow? You are Night Sorrow? I will give you the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. I, Meng Du, want to see how you will respond. Meng Du gathered his divine origin energy and threw the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear at Night Sorrow. This was obviously a provocation. Everyone in the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had heard of Night Sorrow's name and knew that he was the only feather god who was ranked on the divine list. After the Feather God group's competition, I will continue to participate in the High Gods group. At that time, we will definitely fight. Facing the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear that Meng Du threw, Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's Eye to see the path of the spear, and the Divine Origin Energy Dragon Lock Array to slow it down. Finally, he used his divine origin energy and the strength of his body to catch the spear. From the beginning to the end, his body was as steady as a rock and did not sway in the slightest. Ha ha ha. You are really arrogant. You are still a feather god, and you dare to say that you will participate in the High Gods Group's competition? Alright, I will wait for you in the High Gods Group. You better pray that I don't meet you in the competition. Otherwise, your divine soul will be destroyed. Take good care of the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear. I will personally take it back. When he heard that Night Sorrow wanted to participate in the High Gods Group's competition, Mengdu laughed arrogantly. To him, no matter how strong a feather god was, they would not be a threat to him. Let's just wait and see. However, since you want to kill me, if the Heavenly Martial Pavilion does not withdraw from the Feather God Group's competition, I will kill all of you. Threatening me? You are threatening the wrong person. Night Sorrow, who had caught the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear, replied domineeringly. Night Sorrow was the virtuous feather god, but he was not a hypocrite. When someone provoked him, he would not hesitate to retaliate. What? What should we do? The feather gods of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion immediately panicked when they heard Yishang's threat to start a massacre during the competition. Mengdu, who had threatened Night Sorrow, had an ugly expression on his face. Although he was strong, he was a high god and did not have the qualifications to participate in the Feather God Group's competition. What are you panicking for? I have my ways. Meng Yi berated when he saw that the Heavenly Martial Pavilion's feather gods were frightened by Night Sorrow's aura. Chapter 2574. Haha. Senior brother Night Sorrow is so powerful. One sentence from him is enough to make the Sky Martial Pavilion's feather god restless. Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the feather god list, shouted when he saw that Night Sorrow's words had shocked the Sky Martial Pavilion. As the strongest person in the Tianyun School's feather god list, he had suffered too much humiliation. Now that Night Sorrow had appeared, he felt as though the clouds had parted and the moon had seen the light. I didn't know you were so strong. Looks like I was lucky to win that day. Yan Zheng looked a little embarrassed. He remembered that Night Sorrow had been on Sikong Hanshin's side that day, but he hadn't humiliated Sikong Hanshin. Now that the Sky Martial Pavilion had provoked him, Sikong Hanshin had stood up for him. It seems that we've made the right choice to join the Tianyun clan at this point in time. I think that the future Tianyun school won't be as cowardly as before. Mei Ruoxue smiled as she looked at Yishang's back from a short distance away. Yin Tingfei, who was ranked 30th on the Feather God list, said, "This is indeed the best time for the Tianyun school. I'm ranked 30th on the Feather God list, but I can't even make it into the sex lineup. I hope that everyone can help me wash away the humiliation from the last competition. With Night Sorrow leading the team, we will definitely be the best in the Feather God group." Si Kongxiang said as he patted Yin Tingfei's shoulder. The feather gods were in a good mood. Their previous nervousness had been swept away. The high celestial disciples of the Tianyun school were also in a good mood. In their opinion, it was almost certain that the Tianyun clan would win the championship of the God of Feathers division this time. This way, no matter how the high celestial group performed, they wouldn't be as humiliated as before. Furthermore, Night Sorrow had said that he would continue to participate in the High Celestial group after the Feather God group. This way, the strength of the Tianyun School's High Celestial group would definitely increase, and they would be able to get rid of the embarrassment of being last place. Feather God Realm Ant, you don't deserve my Tianwu Soul Battle Spear. Just as everyone was talking and laughing, the weapon spirit of the Tianwu Battle Soul Spear suddenly tried to break free from Night Sorrow's hands. The Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear was, after all, a king-grade divine artifact. Its power was extremely terrifying. Very quickly, Night Sorrow felt that it was about to slip out of his hands. Haha, so what if I give you a king-grade divine artifact? You don't even have the ability to control them. Mengdu, who was standing in the distance, immediately mocked when he saw the Heavenly Martial Soul Spear breaking free from Night Sorrow's grasp. Among the people of the Sky Martial Pavilion, he was one of the few who was not afraid of Night Sorrow. As for the others, he did not care at all. Your face really doesn't hurt enough. In the face of Mengdu's provocation, Knight Sorrow replied coldly. He turned to the heavenly martial soul war spear and said, "A mere weapon spirit dares to speak such arrogant words. Do you really think that I, Knight Sorrow, would be interested in your heavenly martial soul war spear? In my eyes, you are just a pile of materials." After speaking, he directly merged the heavenly martial soul war spear into the Samsara halberd. You want to destroy me? Impossible. This is impossible. You want to use a high god grade divine artifact to devour my king grade divine artifact? Dream on. After being merged into the Samsara halberd, the weapon spirit of the heavenly martial soul war spear immediately roared. Nothing in this world is impossible. Although you are a king grade divine artifact, you are just a pile of materials now. How much can you do? Knight Sorrow controlled the Samsara halberd to resist the arrogance of the heavenly martial soul war spear, and gradually suppressed it. The Samsara halberd was the same as Knight Sorrow. Its grade was not very high, but its strength was definitely not at the high god grade. After all, it mainly had the Samsara attribute, and had merged with a Lord grade divine spear, and the Inferno demon spear. No. Don't destroy my will. I am willing to serve you. After being suppressed by the combination of the Samsara attribute and Knight Sorrow, the weapon spirit of the heavenly martial soul war spear quickly begged for mercy. You asked for it. There is no turning back. Faced with the heavenly martial soul war spear's begging, Knight Sorrow did not stop. He continued to merge with the weapon. Tribulation clouds. Tribulation clouds are coming. After the Samsara halberd had completely devoured the heavenly martial soul war spear, and upgraded to the Lord grade, thick black clouds immediately floated in the sky. Seeing the tribulation clouds, Si Kongxiang cried out worriedly. He was afraid that something would happen to Knight Sorrow. Lord grade lightning tribulation. Let's see how a feather god like you can survive it. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had merged with the heavenly martial soul war spear, Meng Yi of the Sky Martial Pavilion was so angry that he almost fainted. Now that the Samsara halberd had upgraded to a Lord grade divine artifact, and attracted the tribulation clouds, he immediately cursed. Elders, please protect Knight Sorrow from the divine artifact tribulation. Don't let him be disturbed by others. Seeing the tribulation clouds coming, Mei Ruoxue immediately begged the 10 deacon elders to protect Knight Sorrow. Xiaoshui, you don't have to remind me. The half-step divine king blocked the deacon elder Mei Ling. He snorted and started to protect Knight Sorrow with the other 9 deacon elders. You are making a mountain out of a molehill. He is just a feather god. There is no way he can survive the tribulation lightning of a Lord grade divine artifact. Why should the Sky Martial Pavilion do anything? Meng Yi of the Sky Martial Pavilion said disdainfully when he saw the deacon elders of the Tianyan school acting as if they were facing a great enemy. In his opinion, no matter how strong a feather god was, it was impossible for him to survive the Lord grade divine artifact tribulation. Boom. At that moment, the terrifying tribulation lightning struck down. The tribulation lightning was so terrifying that some of the deacon elders felt their hearts tremble. However, in the face of the tribulation lightning, Knight Sorrow chose to take it head-on with his body. His choice made the people of the Tianyan school feel conflicted. They were afraid that he would be struck to death. Everyone from the Sky Martial Pavilion had gloating expressions on their faces. They felt that Yi Shang was simply courting death. What a long-awaited feeling. After taking the tribulation lightning head-on with his body, Knight Sorrow felt extremely calm. He was not disturbed at all. Taking the tribulation lightning head-on was a way for him to train his body. It doesn't seem to have any effect. It seems that my body has already reached the peak of the feather god grade. There is no need to train it anymore. In that case, let's hurry up and help the Samsara halberd overcome the tribulation. In the face of this tribulation lightning, Knight Sorrow quickly realized that his body's strength did not change at all even after being baptized by the tribulation lightning. Then he started to help the Samsara halberd overcome the tribulation lightning with ease. Soon, he succeeded in overcoming the 10th tribulation lightning. After overcoming the tribulation lightning, the Samsara halberd let out a loud and clear cry. Although it was a divine weapon, its strength was comparable to some king-grade artifacts. Elder Meng Yi, we can't let Knight Sorrow live. With him around, the Tianyun school might be able to suppress the Sky Martial Pavilion in the future. This suppression might last for many reincarnations. Seeing that Night Sorrow had successfully helped the Samsara halberd overcome the tribulation lightning and become a divine weapon, one of the elders of the Sky Martial Pavilion sent a voice transmission to Meng Yi. If we let him grow, he will definitely be a nightmare for the Sky Martial Pavilion. I am already thinking of a countermeasure. Meng Yi's expression was uglier than anyone else's. However, what made Meng Yi and the others even more devastated was that Lu Qingyuan walked out of the inner cabin with a proud smile on his face. "Elder Lu, aren't you a little too fast?" Si Kongxiang joked when he saw Lu Qingyuan walk out of the inner cabin. "What do you know? I have already been in the accelerated space for a month. How can an ignorant brat like you understand how it feels?" Chapter 2575. Damn it. Tianyun School, my heavenly martial pavilion will be your arch-enemy from now on. Meng Yi, who was originally interested in Yan Fangling, understood that Lu Qingyuan had already cooked the rice. He flew into a rage and retreated with his team. This time, the heavenly martial pavilion had really suffered a double loss. They had lost miserably. The moment your heavenly martial pavilion came to my Tianyun school, we were already arch-enemies. This time, facing Meng Yi, Lu Qingyuan was much tougher than before and immediately retorted. "Good. The Tianyun clan should be tough when dealing with things, just like how you dealt with that girl." The divine King Zhuangqing praised with a smile in his space artifact. "Elder Zhuang, I shielded my space artifact at that time. You didn't see anything, did you?" Hearing Zhuangqing's ridicule, Lu Qingyuan asked doubtfully. At that time he definitely shielded his space artifact and felt that it was impossible for anyone to spy on his privacy. "Let's not talk about this. On the way to Tianqing Gate, everyone must be on guard." Watching the people of Heavenly Martial Pavilion leave, the Divine King Zhuangqing reminded them. They mainly needed to be on guard against Soaring Heaven Sect and Ho Jun's people. Yes, Qingyuan will definitely be on guard. At this time, Lu Qingyuan's face returned to normal, and he began to control the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle at full speed. What surprised everyone was that when they arrived at Tianqing Gate, where the Seven Sect Great Competition was held, Soaring Heaven Sect and Ho Jun's people did not appear. Could it be that we are overthinking? They didn't join forces to target us? When they arrived at Tianqing Gate, Lu Qingyuan sent a message to the Divine King Zhuangqing. "Not necessarily. I think it is more likely that they will act after the Seven Sect Great Competition. Because if they act before the Great Competition, it will affect the normal progress of the Great Competition. That will involve a lot of people." The Divine King Zhuangqing reminded in his space artifact. "Although we have arrived at Tianqing Gate, there is still some time before the Great Competition. After staying here, all the disciples of Tianyun School are not allowed to go out at will to avoid being targeted by some people." "Yes, Elder Zhuang." Lu Qingyuan responded and lowered the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. He let everyone disembark and walked down the stairs to walk on the steps to walk to the front. Tianqing Gate's gate. "Please inform them that the Tianyun clan is here to participate in the Seven Clan Grand Tournament." Lu Qingyuan took out his identity jade token and walked towards the two disciples guarding the mountain gate of the Heavenly Clarity sect. "Elder, please wait a moment." One of the disciples at the Divine Feather Realm took the jade token and confirmed it before using a voice transmission stone to report the matter. Not long after, Lin Yu, the elder in charge of receiving guests from the Clear Sky Gate, came out to receive them. He was very polite along the way. However, although Elder Zhuangqing was polite on the way, he was not kind when it came to arranging accommodations. He only arranged a courtyard for Tianyun School. This was only equivalent to the treatment of an outer sect disciple. It did not meet the standards of the Seven Sect Great Competition at all. It was definitely a slap in the face. "Lin Yu, what is the meaning of this?" Standing in front of the courtyard, Lu Qingyuan immediately flew into a rage. "What do I mean? What I mean is that you Tianyun School are here to be bystanders anyway. It doesn't matter where you stay. If you are not satisfied, you can choose to withdraw from the great competition. You are in last place in the Zhuangqing group and the deity group anyway. Withdrawing has no effect on the great competition. Lin Yu looked at the furious Lu Qingyuan with an indifferent expression. Good. Very good. Lin Yu, remember what you said today. Tianyan School will definitely slap your dog face until it is swollen during the great competition. Lu Qingyuan, who was provoked, had a vicious look on his face. He was too angry. The seven-sect great competition was held in rotation. It was held in a different sect each time. However, no matter where it was held, the host would always arrange a separate mountain peak for the other sections. Tianqing Gate actually arranged an outer sect disciples' courtyard for Tianyan School. This deliberate targeting was a little too much. Haha, you want to slap Tianqing Gate's face? You'd better think about how to let your disciples survive in the hands of Wu Yu. Tianqing Gate will never forget the grudge of Mu Baiyu killing Lin Tianxi back then. Tianqing Gate's elder Lin Yu left a harsh sentence and left with a flick of his sleeves. As for whether Tianyan School lived in an outer sect disciples' courtyard or not, he did not care at all. Come, let's move in. Lu Qingyuan did not give the order, but Night Sorrow spoke up. Are we really going to live in such a simple and crude courtyard? Aren't we just waiting to be laughed at by the other sects? As soon as Yi Shang spoke, Lu Qingyuan immediately responded with a question. It doesn't matter where we live. As long as we can slap their faces like senior brother Mu Baiyu when the great competition comes. Night Sorrow explained and continued. The Feather God Group's competition and the High God Group's competition mainly rely on the strongest combat power. However, teamwork is equally important. Let's take advantage of the fact that the great competition hasn't started yet, and practice a team battle technique. A team battle technique? That's an array formation? Si Kongxiang asked in surprise. It's not an array formation, but it has a similar effect. If the participants of the great competition can practice a team battle technique well, their combat power will definitely increase by a lot. Night Sorrow said and set up an isolation array formation outside the courtyard. He taught the 9 domain worlds team battle technique to the Tianyan School team. In the following time, the Tianyan School team began to seriously practice the team battle technique, according to Night Sorrow's guidance. The few people in the Feather God group were all ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. They were very talented and had a strong comprehension ability. It took them about a month to completely master the 3-person, 4-person, and 5-person battle techniques. As for the few people in the High God group, their talent was slightly worse, especially Nalanda, who was relatively stupid. He only mastered the 3-person and 4-person battle techniques. However, after Night Sorrow joined the High God group, everyone quickly became proficient in the 5-person battle technique. After completely mastering the team battle technique, Mei Ruoxue said with a smile, I think our Feather God group is very likely to create a record in the great competition of the 7 sects. Night Sorrow will definitely lead us to great results. I think so too. With this group battle method, we'll definitely be successful in every endeavor. Ho Qingshan expressed his deep agreement to this. This time, he was much more confident than he was in the previous great competition. However, what surprised everyone was that before the great competition of the 7 sects, Lu Qingyuan had brought news that the great competition of the 7 sects had been confirmed as a single elimination tournament. The High God group's competition would be the same as before. Why did the rules suddenly change in this great competition? Could it be that the people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion leaked Night Sorrow's strength? Are the other sects afraid that our Tianyan School will take the top 5 because of Night Sorrow? After hearing this news, Si Kongxiang was a little unhappy. He could have relied on Night Sorrow to achieve good results, but now he could only rely on himself. No matter what, our Tianyan School must show off in this great competition of the 7 sects. You are all ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. There is no reason why you can't achieve good results. Seeing that the Tianyan School's Feather God group was a little depressed, Lu Qingyuan encouraged them. Chapter 2576. That's right. There are a total of 35 participants. We are all ranked in the top 20 of the God of Feathers list, so we should have a high chance of entering the top 16. Everyone, relax. Ho Qingshan, who had participated in the 7-sect tournament, encouraged them. Last time, he had successfully advanced to the top 16. However, he had lost to Wu You in the round of 16. This time, Night Sorrow, Yin Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue had appeared. He felt that the burden on his shoulders had lightened a lot. I'm a little worried that Tianqing Gate, as the host, will do something bad to us in the tournament. Si Kongxiang said unhappily. He was still brooding over the matter of his accommodation. They dare to target our Tianyan school without restraint mainly because our sect master is missing and our results have been poor for many years. If you don't want to be looked down upon, it will depend on your performance. Rules are dead, but people are alive. No matter how we are targeted, we will face it with our strength. Lu Qingyuan said as he looked at Night Sorrow, who was walking in from outside. Night Sorrow, what do you think about the change in the rules? Since we are here, let's take it as it comes. No matter how they target us, we will use our fists to break the rules. They won't stop us from participating, right? Haha. Night Sorrow said with a smile as he walked over slowly. He had just finished studying the secret treasure that could confine space, the Red Golden Dragon Rune. He had snatched the Red Golden Dragon Rune from Wen Zhengfang when he left the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave, and was ambushed by the Dark Moon Dominator's mansion. Even with his strength, he couldn't dodge the Red Golden Dragon Rune in a large area when he was confined by it. The effect was similar to the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array, but the area it covered was much larger. It should be effective against the Feather God and the High Deity. Yishang is right. At the end of the day, it all depends on strength. Tomorrow is the tournament. Everyone, have a good rest today. Lu Qingyuan didn't say too much about the grand competition, and hurried back to his room to rest. Seeing him leave in a hurry, Si Kongxiang smiled and teased. I discovered that the Heavenly Martial Pavilion has set up a honey trap for us. Look, Elder Lu doesn't have the mood to care about the large competition at all. You're so nosy. Mei Ruoxue immediately glared at Si Kongxiang when she saw that his words were not serious. After that, everyone chatted and laughed for a while before returning to their rooms to rest. Night Sorrow returned to his room and lay down on the bed to rest. Ho Qingshan knocked on his door. Senior brother Ho, what's the matter? Night Sorrow opened the door and looked at Ho Qingshan. Ho Qingshan had entered the sect much earlier than him, so Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to call him senior brother. Brother Yi, this is what happened. According to tradition, the geniuses of the Feather God group will hold a tea party on the eve of every large competition to discuss the heroes. This time, like the last one, I received an invitation. Ho Qingshan naturally didn't have the nerve to call him junior brother. He asked in an inquiring tone. I would like to invite Brother Yi to go with me. What do you think? Ho Qingshan had been severely humiliated at the last tea party. If Night Sorrow didn't go, he wouldn't go either. Tea party? I don't mind. If senior brother Ho needs me, I'm willing to go with you. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He felt that it was a good thing to meet a top expert of the Feather God realm before the large competition. As for whether it was a dragon's lair or a tiger's den, he didn't really care. Okay. I'm relieved that Brother Yi has agreed. Sai, I won't hide it from you. During the last large competition, I was bullied by Wu Yu from Tianqing Gate. This time he's the host. I feel that he has to find an opportunity to humiliate my Tianyan school. Ho Qingshan was naturally happy that Night Sorrow had agreed. However, he also told the truth. They might be going to a feast at Hongmen. It's fine. If you're happy, we can stay a little longer. If you're not happy, you can leave at any time. Night Sorrow didn't care about this at all. Night Sorrow could tell from Tianqing Gate's attitude towards Tianyan School that the so-called tea party to discuss the heroes wouldn't stop. Brother Yi is right. The tea party is about to start. Why don't we go now? Ho Qingshan said politely. Okay, let's go. Night Sorrow nodded and walked out of the courtyard with Ho Qingshan. As soon as they walked out of the courtyard, they saw a Tianqing Gate disciple in the upper celestial realm waiting outside. The two of them followed the Tianqing Gate disciple and rushed to the location of the tea party. The tea party was held in a pavilion in the middle of a lake on Tianqing Gate's Wuyo Peak. By the time Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan arrived, most of the genius disciples of the seven sects had already arrived. The two of them handed over their invitations and walked in. They saw more than 10 top geniuses of the Feather God realm had already taken their seats. At this moment, Wuyo was sitting at the head of the table. On his lower left was Heavenly Immortal Sect's Shangsu Yan, and on his lower right was Heavenly Martial Pavilion's Yan Jifei. Next were Heavenly Star Pavilion's Ao Qingsong, Soaring Heaven Sect's Wen Tianhe, and Tianyuan School's Xianyuan Changya. They were the top 6 geniuses of the Feather God list. Behind them was another genius of the Tianqing Gate, Dongfeng Li, who was ranked 7th on the Feather God list. The seat opposite him was empty. It was obviously reserved for Ho Qingshan. On Dongfeng Li's right was an acquaintance of Night Sorrow, Tianyuan School's Yao Shi. When she saw Night Sorrow walk into the pavilion, a hint of joy appeared on her face. However, she didn't immediately speak because of the occasion. The seat next to Ho Qingshan was empty. It was unknown who it was reserved for. Yan Jifei's expression immediately turned ugly when he saw Night Sorrow. He had lost miserably to Night Sorrow, and even his aunt had lost to the Tianyan school. Naturally, he wouldn't tell anyone. However, many of the people present had already received the news. It was just that no one pointed it out. Brother Qingshan, who is this person next to you? Do you know that this is a tea party for discussing heroes? Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can attend. Wu Yu, who was sitting at the head of the table, chided coldly. He knew who Night Sorrow was, but he was deliberately making things difficult for him. As soon as Wu Yu spoke, the geniuses who had been discussing immediately turned their attention to Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan, who had just walked into the pavilion. Wu Yu was ranked 1st on the Feather God list. His aura was very strong. When Ho Qingshan was reprimanded by him, she immediately understood. This is Night Sorrow from the Tianyan school. He is ranked on both the Feather God list and the Upper God list. I felt that he was suitable to attend this tea party, so I invited him. You think he's suitable? Did you ask for my permission? Ho Qingshan, who gave you the guts to bring someone here without permission? Wu Yu looked coldly at Ho Qingshan. Ho Qingshan felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave when Wu Yu's divine realm enveloped her. Even speaking was difficult. If you don't think he's suitable, we can leave. There's no need to be so aggressive. Night Sorrow used his divine realm to block Wu Yu's divine realm. He helped Ho Qingshan out of the situation and prepared to leave. Chapter 2577. Haha. I finally know why Lin Tianxi, the prodigy of Tianqing Gate, was killed by Mu Baiyu. It turns out that the people of Tianqing Gate have no manners. Night Sorrow laughed at Wu Yu's provocation. I've heard of a few famous prodigies in the God realm. Hegemin Tianai, Hegemin Clearsound, Hegemin Buddha. Don't you find it ridiculous that a feather god like you thinks you can control the world? Hiss. Some of the geniuses present immediately sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard Yishan publicly insult Worryless. In their eyes, Wu Yu was a peerless prodigy who couldn't be challenged in the God realm. Many people treated him with respect, just like how they treated the experts of their sections. Yaoshi's eyes were filled with worry. She knew that Night Sorrow was very strong, at least a lot stronger than her. However, she wasn't sure how strong he would be compared to Wu Yu. After all, Wu Yu had been at the top of the Feather God list for many years. No one knew how strong he was. What an interesting person. Shangshu Yan of the Celestial Immortal Sect smiled. She could see that Night Sorrow wasn't trying to play to the gallery. He wasn't afraid of Wu Yu at all. The Celestial Immortal Sect was the most special sect in the Cloud Immortal continent. All of its disciples were female cultivators, and all of them were beautiful. Shangsu Yan was the same. There was a different feeling in his chuckle. Good. Very good. Night Sorrow, is it? I admire your boldness. Come, I Wu Yu propose a toast to you. Wu Yu couldn't stay calm after being insulted in public. He threw the wine cup at Night Sorrow. I, Night Sorrow, may not be a prodigy, but I don't want to drink a toast from trash. Since Wu Yu was clearly targeting him, Yishang didn't give him any face at all. He flicked out a beam of divine essence energy from his fingertip and directly shattered the wine cup. Then he said, "Senior brother Ho, since we're not welcome, let's go back." "Okay, let's go." Wu You's supercilious appearance made Ho Qingshan's heart rise with anger. Needless to say, if it wasn't for Night Sorrow's arrival today, he would definitely be targeted in all sorts of ways. "You can come and go as you please. What do you think the tea party organized by Brother Wu You is?" Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan turned around and prepared to leave. But soaring heaven sex when Tian he immediately slammed the table and stood up. Xianyuan Changye from Tianxian School also stood up and scolded. "If you don't give Brother Wu You an explanation, don't even think about leaving." "Senior brother, what are you doing?" Seeing that senior brother Xianyuan Changye actually stood up to help Wu You berate Night Sorrow, Yaoshi immediately questioned with a frown. "Senior brother is preparing to teach a lesson to someone with no manners." Xianyuan Changye snorted unhappily and asked in return, "Why do you know this person?" Tianxian School's news was lagging behind. He was one of the few people who didn't know that Night Sorrow had defeated Yin Jifei. "Night Sorrow is my good friend. He's not a person without manners." Wu You was clearly the one who provoked him first. Yaoshi suddenly stood up and walked to Night Sorrow's side. "Junior sister, sit back down. Have you been brainwashed by evil people?" Seeing Yaoshi standing beside Night Sorrow, Xianyuan Changye immediately scolded loudly. "I think you've been brainwashed. Night Sorrow, the atmosphere here has changed. Let's go." Yaoshi was originally a gentle person, but now she was a little angry. Her cheeks were a little red from anger. Wu You was clearly targeting Night Sorrow. However, Xianyuan Changye stood up for Wu You, which made her feel ashamed. "Rebellion. Yaoshi, you're rebelling. Believe it or not, I'll get the elders of the sect to punish you." Seeing that Yaoshi was leaving, Xianyuan Changye hollered in a frenzy. "I came from a branch of the Heavenly Profound sect, and am not a member of the Heavenly Profound sect. What right do you have to punish me?" Hearing Xianyuan Changye's holler, Yaoshi looked back and said, "Xianyuan Changye, I'm telling you because of you, I, Yaoshi, have chosen to withdraw from the 7-sect tournament. Let's go and find a place to have a few drinks. I'm really sorry to have implicated you and your senior brother in an argument." Night Sorrow looked at Yaoshi and said, "Okay, let's go." Actually, Yaoshi had chosen to stand out mainly for Yishang's sake. She was afraid that if Yishang had too few people on his side, Worryless would join forces with the other bootlickers to attack him. "Everyone wait for me. The alcohol here is very depressing. If you don't mind, count me in. I'm not very good at drinking." At this moment, Ao Qingsong of the Starry Sky Pavilion stood up drunkenly. "Brother Qingsong." Seeing that Ao Qingsong stood up, Ho Qingshan immediately cupped his fists at him. "I'm not targeting you," Ao Qingsong said nonchalantly before continuing. "Brother Yi, I'm Ao Qingsong from the Starry Sky Pavilion. Yin Tianyi, that punk, would mention you every few days. Now that I've met you, you're indeed better than your reputation." Seeing that Yaoshi and Ao Qingsong stood on Night Sorrow's side, Wu Yu's face was bruised. Just now, he had said that Night Sorrow was a nobody. Now there were 2 experts ranked in the top 10 of the God of Feathers list standing beside Night Sorrow. This was a slap to his face. "So you're Tianyi's senior brother. Nice to meet you." Hearing Ao Qingsong's words, Night Sorrow immediately remembered that Yun Tianyi, Zhuang He, and the others had indeed joined the Starry Sky Pavilion. After thinking for a moment, he sent a voice transmission. "Brother Qingsong, what's your relationship with Ao Qingshan?" "Ao Qingshan is my cousin. I, Ao Qingsong, admire what Brother Yishang has done for Haibei City." Ao Qingsong replied with a voice transmission. He was also a cultivator from Haibei City. "I wonder if Tianyi came this time? If he's here, we can have a drink together. He also knows Yaoshi. We fought side by side in the Zhenyuan Divine Lord's cave abode." Night Sorrow continued to send a voice transmission as they walked out of the pavilion. "That kid has fused with the blood essence of the Divine King. His strength has improved very quickly. Now that he has the strength to challenge the top 20 of the God of Feathers list, he naturally came this time. Brother Yi, Take your friends and come with me to the Starry Sky Pavilion. Ao Chingsong invited Night Sorrow. Okay, let's go. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. They were in Wu Yu's territory, but they dared to stand up and walk with him. This definitely required courage, and he appreciated it very much. Only 9 of the top 10 of the God of Feathers list had come, and 4 of them had left at once. Wu Yu's face had turned completely red. Now that things had turned out this way, he couldn't start a war. He could only threaten them coldly. You'd better not let me meet you in the grand competition. I think it's you who'd better not let me meet you. Night Sorrow turned back and glanced at Wu Yu. The smell of gunpowder between the two of them was already quite strong. After leaving the pavilion of Wu Yu Peak, the group arrived at the peak where the Starry Sky Pavilion was located. After chatting with Yun Tianyi for a while, the few of them raised their glasses and chatted under the moonlight. They had similar thoughts. After the grand competition, they would choose to break through to the upper divine realm. They wouldn't be like some people who would continue to settle down for the so-called foundation. While drinking, Ao Chingsong told Night Sorrow something. Wu Yu was the younger brother of the Divine King. After hearing this news, Night Sorrow's impression of Wu Yu became even worse. As for the grand competition, they had a tacit understanding and didn't mention it. Chapter 2578. When it was time for the 7-sect tournament, Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan returned to the Tianyun School's camp and headed to the venue with everyone else. Yao Shi didn't want to return to the Tianxian School's camp to see Xianyuan Changya, so she left a message for the Tianxian School's elder to tell him that she was withdrawing. Then, she went to the square that the Tianqing Gate had set up for the 7-sect tournament with the other Tianyun School's disciples. The square was built by a mountain that had been cut in half, and a defensive array was set up by the Divine King's array formation master. The sturdiness of the array had already surpassed the level of the God of Feathers. It was also very spacious, and there were more than 10,000 seats around the 16 arenas. At this time, the seats were already full. Most of the audience were disciples of the Tianqing Gate, and some were from other sects in the Yunxian continent. There were also people from the Tianyun school, but they weren't from the sect. After the people of the 7 sects were all seated, the sect master of the Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, gave the opening speech of the 7-sect tournament. Then, the host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy sect master of the Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, began to read the rules of the tournament. There are a total of 35 participants in this tournament. One person has already withdrawn, so there are 34 people left. After some research, we have decided that the first round will be decided by drawing lots. 32 of the 34 people will be selected to advance. What? The first round is decided by drawing lots? Does that mean that anyone can be eliminated? The qualification isn't decided by one's strength? What kind of F***king rule is this? Does it mean that there are 2 unlucky people who didn't even have a chance to participate in the 7-sect tournament and ended up in the 33rd and 34th place? Exactly. Isn't this a joke? If Worryless is eliminated, that would be too laughable. Many people began to complain when they heard the F***king rule. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? They can't be targeting Night Sorrow, right? When this rule was made public, Lu Qingyuan's face immediately turned ashen. If they're really targeting Night Sorrow, then they're really shameless. Si Kongxiang said worriedly. Mei Ruoxue and Ho Qingshan's expressions were also very ugly. If Night Sorrow was eliminated by them in this way, then this 7-sect grand tournament would really be too disappointing. Let's draw lots first. Let's see what they're up to. As the person involved, Night Sorrow was relatively calm. After all, if the draw was fair, the probability of him being picked was very small. That's the only way. If Night Sorrow is really selected, then Tianyun School will immediately withdraw from the 7-sect tournament. As the leader of the Tianyun School team, Lu Qingyuan was naturally the representative to draw lots. When he went to draw lots, everyone, including Night Sorrow, was rather nervous. No one wanted to be picked. The process of drawing lots was relatively fast. Not long after, the 2 people who were eliminated were determined. When the names of the eliminated people were read out, The crowd was in an uproar. Because these two people were both from Tianyin School. One was Night Sorrow, and the other was Ho Qingshan. The two strongest people in Tianyin School were directly eliminated before they could participate in the tournament. They were ranked 33rd and 34th respectively. F***CK. Tianqing Gate's bastards. You're too shameless. When the results were read out, Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he cursed. F***CKU. These bastards are really despicable. Si Kongxiang was so angry that his hands were trembling. The other people from Tianyin School looked even worse. They knew that they would be targeted, but Night Sorrow didn't even have a chance to make a move before he was eliminated. This almost angered them to death. Even Yao Shi was so angry that she clenched her fists and said disdainfully, "This is too much. This is really too much. There's no point in holding this 7-sect tournament anymore. No. I protest. I want to protest. What kind of rule is this? It's obvious that you're targeting Tianyin School." Lu Qingyuan shouted, but no one paid any attention to him. He directly rushed to the rostrum and complained. "Elder Lu, you're wrong. Things like drawing lots are determined by luck. The fact that two disciples from Tianyin School were selected proves that Tianyin School's luck isn't good. It's not that the rules of the 7-sect tournament are unfair." The host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy gate master of Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, replied with a cold face. "Fair? Fair my ass. You're just afraid that Night Sorrow will steal Wuyo's first place, so you're using all kinds of methods. Am I right? Ho Wanli, what do you think is going on?" Lu Qingyuan, whose face was livid, immediately rebuked angrily. Ho Wanli, who was sitting on the rostrum, came from Tianyin School, and was one of the 7 chairmen of this tournament. The rules were set by everyone. I'm also heartbroken that Night Sorrow and Qingshan were selected, but this is the truth. We have to accept it. Ho Wanli, who was on the rostrum, said with a pained expression, "Elder Lu, please return to your seat. Don't interfere with the 7-sect tournament." He was a distant relative of the deputy gate master, Ho Jun. He must have been bribed this time. Otherwise he wouldn't be like this. "Ho Wanli, you traitor." Hearing Ho Wanli's words, Lu Qingyuan's face became even uglier. He sneered and said, "I don't want to participate in this shameless 7-sect tournament. I, Tianyin School, choose to withdraw." After saying that, he returned to Tianyin School's seat and said, "Let's go." The disciples and elders of Tianyin School all stood up from their seats and prepared to leave together. At this time, Wu Yu, who was at Tianqing Gate, stood up. He looked at Night Sorrow provocatively and transmitted his voice. "This is the price you have to pay for provoking me. Take care, I won't see you off." "Wu Yu, just based on your temperament, I, Night Sorrow, can fight against 10 of you." At this time, Night Sorrow was quite angry. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen a sect as shameless as Tianqing Gate. He replied coldly, "Hee, you think that you are invincible in the Divine Feather Realm after defeating Yin Jifei?" Wu Yu replied disdainfully, "Even if I am not invincible in the Divine Feather Realm, killing you is as easy as killing a chicken." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Wu Yu. He condensed his divine origin energy and shouted in the square, "Tianqing Gate Wu Yu, I, Tianyin School's Night Sorrow, challenge you to a battle of life and death. Do you dare to fight with me?" After transmitting his voice to Wu Yu, he issued a challenge to Wu Yu in front of everyone. "If you don't let me participate in the tournament, then I will use a challenge to defeat you. Let's see if you have the face to win the tournament again." Hua. Hearing that Night Sorrow had issued a challenge to the number 1 person on the Divine Feather list, the previous champion of the 7-sect Grand Tournament, the audience was in an uproar. "I would like to fight with you, but now is the time of the 7-sect Grand Tournament. You have been eliminated and are not qualified to fight with me." Facing Night Sorrow's challenge, Wu Yu raised his voice and shouted, "Besides, I am the number 1 person on the Divine Feather list, the previous champion of the 7-sect Grand Tournament. Am I someone that can be casually challenged by a cat or dog?" "That's right, senior brother Wu Yu is not someone you can challenge just because you want to. I think you are crazy because you want to be famous." Many of the Tianqing Gate disciples present insulted Night Sorrow. One Tian He of Soaring Heaven Sect and Xianyuan Changyi of Tianyuan School also transmitted their voices to Night Sorrow. Chapter 2579. Who is this Night Sorrow? Why is he so arrogant? Not only did he challenge senior brother Wu Yu, he even dares to challenge the top 3 experts. He's just trying to please the crowd. That's right. He's not even fit to carry senior brother Wu Yu's shoes. Some of the Heavenly Clear Sect's disciples, especially the female disciples, began to chatter and disdain Yishang. They didn't even know that Night Sorrow was ranked 3rd on the Divine Feather list, and was also on the Divine Feather list. They only blindly worshipped Wu Yu. As for Wu Yu, he was quickly losing face after being challenged by Night Sorrow. He was afraid that if he didn't accept the challenge, he would be seen as a coward. He glared at Night Sorrow and said, "You're far from qualified to challenge the 3 of us. But seeing how blindly confident you are, I, Wu Yu, will give you a chance. When the 7 Sect tournament is over, I'll give you the chance to challenge junior brother Dongfeng Li. If you can beat my junior brother, you can fight me." Wu Yu's words were decent, but he emphasized that he would only bring it up after the 7 Sect tournament. When the dust settled, no one would care about the so-called challenge. Haha, since when does the 3rd on the Divine Feather list need to challenge the 7th to prove his strength? Night Sorrow sneered at Wu Yu. I've already defeated Yin Jifei. Do I still need to challenge Dongfeng Li to prove myself? Hearing this, some of the spectators from the Tianqing Gate and other sects were shocked. Some of them had thought that Night Sorrow wasn't qualified to challenge Wu Yu. But now they felt that it was normal for the 3rd to challenge the 1st. They also felt that it was a pity that the 3rd on the Divine Feather list had been eliminated by drawing lots. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, the host of the 7 Sect tournament, the deputy gate master of the Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, suddenly spoke up. No matter where you are on the Divine Feather list, you've been eliminated by the rules. If you continue to speak and affect the competition, don't blame me for personally killing you. This time, Tianqing Gate had already decided that they would not allow Night Sorrow to participate in the Feather Deity Group competition, no matter what. However, if he participated in the Deity Group, then there would be no problem. Night Sorrow, let's not talk about it. The incident happened at Tianqing Gate. Lu Qingyuan was afraid that the other party's masters would attack Night Sorrow, so he immediately warned him. Although the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in his spatial artifact, was just as displeased, he still reminded him. Night Sorrow is the future of Tianyan School. We can't let Tianqing Gate find an excuse to attack him. Our Tianyan School will withdraw from this year's competition first. All right. Lu Qingyuan, who was trying to console Night Sorrow, spoke to him for a while before leading the Tianyan School group in the direction they had left. At this time, everyone from the Starry Sky Pavilion also stood up. Zhuang Xinghe, the vice sect leader of the Starry Sky Pavilion, who was leading the group, snorted coldly. It's fine if we don't participate in the 7 Sects tournament. Friends of Tianyan School, wait for us. Then he led the group to chase after the Tianyan School group. They had chosen to stand on Tianyan School's side. Sect leader Zhuang, calm down. Don't be rash. Liang Shijun, the vice sect leader of Tianqing Gate, immediately stopped him when he saw that the Starry Sky Pavilion was about to withdraw. What else do you want to say? In the future, you can have fun in the 7 Sects tournament. The fame, ranking, and rewards will all belong to you. Zhuang Xinghe glared at Liang Shijun, snorted coldly, and ignored him. He walked to Yishang's side and said, Little friend, Yishang's spirit is extraordinary. Your courage and insight in fighting 1 against 3 is admirable. Senior, you flatter me. Night Sorrow just can't stand their shamelessness. Night Sorrow said modestly. A real powerhouse is born fearless. You should be like Night Sorrow. Wu Yu is talented, but he has gone astray. Zhuang Xinghe smiled and chatted with Night Sorrow. At the same time, the disciples of Tianyan School and the Starry Sky Pavilion in the audience all stood up from their seats and followed the disciples of the 2 sections. There were about 2,000 people in this group. It was a grand scene. Nonsense. Tianyan School and the Starry Sky Pavilion, you are unreasonable. Tan Qingfeng, the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, stood up and scolded angrily after the Tianyan school and the Starry Sky Pavilion left. Now that things had turned out this way, it was already a mess. His face was not looking good. You are the unreasonable ones. He is just a feather god. How can you be so scared? Not only did you try to change the rules, but you also tried to kick him out. Are you so afraid that Tianyan school will turn the tables in the 7-sect tournament? Zhuang Xinghe, the deputy sect leader of the Starry Sky Pavilion, frowned and replied. Lu Qingyuan's status was not high enough to represent the Tianyan school. Are you too ready to become enemies with the other sects? Tan Qingfeng didn't continue to talk about the 7-sect tournament. Instead, he asked coldly. If Tianqing Gate wants to fight, the Starry Sky Pavilion will accompany you. But don't accuse us. Tianqing Gate can't represent the 5 major sects. Zhuang Xinghe said fearlessly. The Starry Sky Pavilion was different from Tianyan School. Their sect leader wasn't missing and wasn't weak. They weren't afraid of Tianqing Gate at all. Hearing this, Yu Zhengxian, the deputy sect leader of Soaring Heaven sect, immediately stood up and said, the 7-sect tournament represents the face of the 7 sections. The Starry Sky Pavilion and Tianyan School's withdrawal is a slap in the face of the 5 sections. Naturally, they are our enemies. The people of Tianyan School and the Heavenly Martial Pavilion also stood up and supported Tianqing Gate. The smell of gunpowder was getting stronger. Shang Suyen of the Heavenly Immortal sect suddenly stood up and said softly, Seniors, can you listen to this junior? Shang Suyen, what do you have to say? Say it. The sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, nodded. This junior thinks that the 7 sects have existed for so many years. There is no need to be so tense because of the 7-sect tournament. Shang Suyen pondered for a moment and continued, since Tianyan School thinks that the rules are unreasonable, we can adjust the rules appropriately and give Night Sorrow a chance to participate. Wouldn't this matter be resolved? Can the rules be changed just because you want to? Hearing this, Tan Qingfeng looked at Shang Suyen with displeasure. He originally thought that Shang Suyen would represent the Heavenly Immortal sect and stand on Tianqing Gate's side. Didn't the rules of this 7-sect tournament suddenly change? If that's the case, why don't we change it again and give everyone a chance to participate? What's wrong with that? Shang Suyen said softly, but everyone present could hear him clearly. You. Sit down. Tan Qingfeng was so angry that he snorted. Sect leader Tan, you're so impressive. Are you not giving anyone a chance to speak? In the future, the 7 sects will have to follow the will of Tianqing Gate? At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from Shang Suyen's seat. So what if I'm impressive? So what if I'm not? Does the Heavenly Immortal sect want to follow in the footsteps of Tianyan School and the Heavenly Star Pavilion? Tan Qingfeng, who was completely enraged, replied coldly. Yes, so what? The murderous intent in his cold voice grew heavier. Yes. I'll destroy. Tan Qingfeng originally wanted to say something ruthless, but halfway through, he saw that the person who spoke was a shadow. Chapter 2580. What's going on? Why is our sect leader kneeling before a phantom? Is she some kind of big shot? Seeing Tan Qingfeng kneeling before the phantom of the woman playing the zither, the disciples of Tianqing Gate began to discuss among themselves. In their hearts, Tan Qingfeng was a supreme being. His sudden kneeling down shocked countless people. At this time, Tan Qingfeng, who was kneeling on the ground, quickly kowtowed and said, My lady, Tan Qingfeng is guilty. Please forgive me. You, Tan Qingfeng, aren't you a big shot? Why are you kneeling on the ground? The woman playing the zither snorted. I don't dare to be powerful in front of you. Please forgive me for my offense. Tan Qingfeng kept kowtowing and apologizing. Tan Qingfeng, the 7 sects have existed for countless reincarnations. Don't let your arbitrary actions destroy the unity of the 7 sects. As for the 7 sects tournament, it's meant to select talents, not to compete for fame and fortune. You're on your own now. After saying this, the zither-playing woman's silhouette completely disappeared into the void. She didn't release any divine realm from the beginning to the end. However, Tan Qingfeng, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled as he stood up. His robe was soaked in sweat. The big shots of the other sects also kept quiet out of fear. Then Tan Qingfeng and the others invited Tianyan School and the people of the Starry Sky Pavilion back to their seats with smiles on their faces. After apologizing, they announced a new set of rules for the Seven Sects Tournament's Divine Feather Group. Although the challenge tournament was still held, Tianqing Gate took the initiative to withdraw 2 people to make room for Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan. However, only the top 3 sects in each sect would be selected. The sect with the lowest number would be the champion of the Divine Feather Group of the Seven Sects Tournament. Tianqing Gate seemed to be generous this time, but in fact, they had their own plans. The sect that won the Seven Sects Tournament would be blessed by the Heavenly Cloud Continent's luck. They were unwilling to give it away, otherwise they wouldn't have targeted Night Sorrow. If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. The people from Tianqing Gate are despicable. When Lu Qingyuan was drawing lots on behalf of Tianyan School, Si Kongxiang said disdainfully, "Who was that girl just now? He obviously doesn't have any aura, but he was able to make Tan Qingfeng kneel. He's really not simple." "Are you a pig? Tan Qingfeng is one of the strongest in the Divine King. Who else can scare him?" Upon hearing Si Kongxiang's words, Mei Ruoxue couldn't help but mock him. Could it really be Hegemon voiceless sound? Si Kongxiang muttered and sighed. No wonder everyone wants to become a ruler. Even a phantom image could scare the Divine King into kneeling and begging for mercy. This feeling was simply too great. "If I can become a sovereign, then you can go to sleep now. You'll become a sovereign soon." Mei Ruoxue mocked him. "I'm afraid I won't even have the chance to become a sovereign in my dreams. However, Night Sorrow has it. We can now hug his thigh. Haha. Elder Lu told me that Night Sorrow has the disposition of a sovereign." Si Kongxiang looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. Disposition of a sovereign? Mei Ruoxue and the other feather gods of Tianyan School all looked at Night Sorrow. Although they knew that Night Sorrow was very powerful, they didn't know that he was so talented. When they heard this news, they were all shocked. "Why are you all looking at me? We are all feather gods. It's too early to talk about the topic of a sovereign." Night Sorrow, who had responded, was actually speechless. Just now, when he opened his sea serpent eye, he discovered that the Guqin woman's projection was actually Shangshu Yan's projection. It wasn't the legendary sovereign Qingyin at all. Tan Qingfeng actually knelt down to Shangshu Yan, a feather god. If this news spread, he would definitely be laughed at. At this moment, Night Sorrow noticed that Shangshu Yan was looking at him. He smiled and said telepathically, "Aren't you afraid of being discovered by pretending to be a sovereign?" "What? You actually saw through it?" Hearing Night Sorrow's telepathic message, Shangshu Yan's face showed a hint of surprise. "I'm curious. Tan Qingfeng is a divine king. Why can't he see through it? The projection just now didn't even release its divine realm." Night Sorrow was very curious about why Tan Qingfeng and the others were stunned. It's because he has a guilty conscience. When he saw the legendary Guqin woman, he immediately thought of that person. Haha, he deserves to kneel. Shangshu Yan replied to Night Sorrow and continued, "This time, I helped you in Tianyan School. How are you going to thank me? If we meet in the arena, can you let me win this time?" "Let you win?" Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "Since you helped me, I can let you win this time. If we meet in the finals, I will choose to forfeit." If they met in the finals before Wu Yu was eliminated, he definitely wouldn't let him win. "Okay. It's a deal. I didn't help you for nothing." A sly smile appeared on Shangshu Yan's face. At this moment, the leaders of the 7 sects all returned to their respective camps. Not long after, the results of the draw were announced. Night Sorrow's opponent in the first round was Lin Guanyu from Tianxian School. He was ranked in the 20s on the Feather God list and shouldn't be a threat. Ho Qingshan's opponent was Dongfang Li from Tianqing Gate. He was ranked 7th on the Feather God list. His luck wasn't very good. He met such a strong opponent in the first round. Yin Zheng's opponent was Fan Su from Soaring Heaven sect. Fan Su was ranked in the 20s on the Feather God list. Logically speaking, Yan Zheng's victory wasn't much of a surprise. Si Kongxiang's luck was off the charts. His opponent was a female cultivator ranked 39th on the Feather God list. This female cultivator was the weakest in the 7-sect grand competition. As for Mei Ruoxue, after the draw, her 7-sect grand competition also ended. Her opponent was Wen Tianhe from Soaring Heaven sect. Wen Tianhe was ranked 5th on the Feather God list. She definitely wasn't his opponent. There were 16 arenas in the 7-sect grand competition. After the draw, the 5 feather gods from Tianyin School went up to the arenas. Night Sorrow followed the 7-sect grand competition's disciplinary elder to arena number 3. Tianxian School's Lin Guanyu was already waiting there. Lin Guanyu, as his name suggested, had an outstanding appearance. However, when he looked at Night Sorrow, his eyes were filled with intense hatred. When Night Sorrow entered the arena, Lin Guanyu coldly asked, "What's your relationship with Yao Shi? What does our relationship have to do with you?" When Lin Guanyu spoke, Night Sorrow understood that he was an admirer of Yao Shi. "If you have a relationship with her, you will die by my hands. Otherwise, I will spare your life." Lin Guanyu glared at Night Sorrow with hatred. His words were filled with killing intent. "You want to kill me? I'm afraid you're thinking too much." Night Sorrow smiled in the face of the threat. With his strength, he didn't fear anyone in the arena. However, Lin Guanyu's gaze was somewhat sinister, which made him feel that something was wrong. Leaving the arena, admitting defeat, or being killed are all considered as elimination. If the opponent admits defeat and continues to fight, it will be considered a violation of the rules, and will be severely punished. In addition, divine talismans and other illegal items cannot be used. The other arenas have already started, so you too should hurry up and start. Chapter 2581. Okay, let's start. Night Sorrow was reminded by the law enforcement patriarch and cupped his fists. As for Lin Guanyu, he still had a dead face. He stared at Night Sorrow and said, "You haven't answered my question. Are you under some kind of curse?" Lin Guanyu asked the same question again. Night Sorrow replied impatiently. At this time Lin Guanyu suddenly laughed evilly and said, "My heart belongs to the moon, but the moon shines on the ditch. Are you crazy?" Night Sorrow looked at him and was speechless. However, under such circumstances, he was too embarrassed to make the first move. He could only wait and see what was wrong with Lin Guanyu. Yao Shi and I should have been a match made in heaven, but she couldn't see it clearly. Lin Guanyu looked sad. Suddenly his face became ferocious and he said, "Night Sorrow, go to hell. I won't let you get Yao Shi." Then he threw out an invincible divine monarch level divine talisman at Yi Shang. "Bastard! You deserve to die. I've said that talismans are not allowed in the duel." Seeing Lin Guanyu throw the talisman, the law enforcement patriarch immediately roared and activated the divine king level array in the arena to stop all this. However, Lin Guanyu's attack was too sudden. By the time he reacted, the talisman had already been thrown at Night Sorrow. It was too late to stop it. "You want to kill me with an invincible monarch god talisman? You think too much." When Night Sorrow fought with Yan Jifei, he had been attacked by a divine king god talisman. Although he was seriously injured, his life was in Wu You's hands. Facing Lin Guanyu's talisman, he did the same. Although he was injured, it was not a big problem. "What? This can't kill you." Seeing that Night Sorrow had survived the talisman, Lin Guanyu roared unwillingly, "I thought." Boom. At this time, the array in the arena was activated and Lin Guanyu's divine soul was directly destroyed. The audience watching this duel all cursed. They felt that Lin Guanyu's behavior was very shameful. "Why did I encounter such a weirdo in the first duel?" Night Sorrow lamented and took out a healing elixir to recover from Lin Guanyu's injuries. After the law enforcement patriarch announced the victory, he who had recovered from his injuries left the arena to watch the other Tianyin School's duel. At this time he felt a murderous intent coming from afar. Yi Shang raised his head and saw that it was Tan Qingfeng, the leader of the Tianqing School, staring at him from afar. "Kid, let me give you a word of advice. Only by living a long life in the God realm would one be able to fully realize their talents. You're on your own in this competition. Noticing that Yishang was looking at him, Tan Qingfeng warned him. It turned out that he was the one who gave Lin Guanyu the talisman. Take care? Are you trying to imitate the sovereign? Unfortunately, you don't have that kind of courage. Night Sorrow, who understood Tan Qingfeng's meaning, replied disdainfully. He didn't believe that Tan Qingfeng would dare to attack him in front of so many people. Bastard! I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Let me tell you this. No matter who you meet in the next duel, as long as you win, I will do my best to kill you after the 7-sect tournament. The Tianyun school is already in its twilight years. It can't protect you. Tan Qingfeng threatened coldly. He was determined to win the feather deity competition this time. I, Night Sorrow, have never surrendered in my life. If you want to kill me, then be prepared to face my wrath. Night Sorrow replied Tan Qingfeng without thinking. However, he had already started to think of a countermeasure. Although he didn't choose to compromise when threatened by a divine king, one could imagine the pressure in his heart. The Tianyun school's sect master was missing. The Tianyun school's Zhuangqing, the divine king, shouldn't be a match for Tan Qingfeng. This was a very serious problem. Haha, your wrath. Do you think I care about the wrath of a divine feather realm ant? Do you know how insignificant you are? Do you know how powerful I am? Tan Qingfeng laughed disdainfully. Let me give you a word of advice. It's better to provoke an old man than to bully a poor young man. Night Sorrow replied Tan Qingfeng and ignored him. He went to the 4th arena next door to watch Mei Ruoshue's duel. The duel went as expected. Mei Ruoshue didn't have the slightest ability to resist. She was quickly defeated. After losing, Mei Ruoshue wasn't too dispirited. This was an expected result. Seeing Night Sorrow in the stands, she walked out of the arena with Night Sorrow and went to the 7th arena to watch the duel between Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li. This was the only clash of the strongest in the first round. It was exactly as everyone had expected. The 7th and 8th ranked on the Divine Feather list clashed. The battle was very intense. Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li fought for more than 2 hours. They were still evenly matched. Neither could do anything to the other. Night Sorrow, do you think senior brother Ho will win? Mei Ruoshue asked as she watched the duel. She clasped her hands together and prayed nervously. Their strength is similar, their divine weapons are of the same grade, and their battle techniques are similar. They can't use pills to recover their divine origin energy. It depends on who has accumulated more divine origin energy. Night Sorrow gave his opinion. Even he couldn't tell who would win. However, Night Sorrow, who had activated the Clam Dragon's Eye, deduced a new palm technique from the moves of the 2 experts on the Divine Feather list. It was a good result. He named this palm technique the Samsara Void Palm. The palm technique was mainly based on the Samsara attribute. It was paired with the Spacetime attribute. As Night Sorrow was deducing the palm technique, Yi Mo and Dongfang Li exchanged blows. Si Kongxiang and Yanzheng, who had won, came to his and Mei Ruoshue's side to watch Ho Qingshan's duel. At the end of the duel, Ho Qingshan and Dongfang Li had used up all their divine origin energy. They could only rely on their physical strength to fight. Their body refinement realms weren't very high. They hadn't reached the divine feather realm yet. The battle was very intense. Even after the other duels had ended, the 2 of them were still fighting. Senior brother Ho, it's not easy. Ho Qingshan, who was fighting, was bathed in blood. Mei Ruoshue's eyes turned red. Senior brother Ho, you can do it. Hang in there. You will win. Night Sorrow, Si Kongxiang, and Yanzheng all cheered for Ho Qingshan. Off the stage, they were even more nervous than Ho Qingshan on the stage. There were more disciples watching the duel from Tianqing Gate. When they heard Night Sorrow and the others' cheers, they started cheering for Dongfang Li. Very good. You have angered me. Ho Qingshan heard the cheers of the disciples from Tianqing Gate. He screamed and rushed toward Dongfang Li again. Qingshan, you can do it. Win or lose, the Tianyun school will be proud of you. Lu Qingyuan, who had stood up from his seat, shouted. It's useless. Junior brother Dongfang will win this duel. At this moment, Wuyo slowly walked over to Yishang and the others and coldly said, You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.